Golden Hawk's guildmaster, Lucius Neek, peers at the soon-to-be former member before him. According to their records, Laurent Hill is unqualified to remain a guild member, so he's fired. Laurent doesn't understand. Why is he being fired after the guildmaster exploited every little bit of his skill to recruit members? Laurent has been contributing significantly to the guild using skill appraisal, but Lucius looks as if he doesn't even consider his ability as something noteworthy. Skills are miraculous abilities people are born with, which influence the profession people choose. People with battle-oriented abilities become adventurers, and those with alchemy skills become alchemists. Straightforward enough, no? Meanwhile, Laurent has been using his skill appraisal to discover other guild members' hidden skills and help them improve. As a result, Golden Hawk has grown into a big guild with excellent members filling the roster. In the beginning, Lucius and Laurent were very close friends. However, a gap between them grew after he discovered Lucius's hidden skill and helped him improve it. His friend obtained the skill, and he was able to improve it. He gained a powerful skill and rapidly stood out among adventurers. Laurent has trouble socializing with people, so he's been supporting Lucius from behind and even letting him take all the credit. Of course, with that setup, he climbed to the guild's top fast, while Laurent remained an ordinary guild member. Even so, he happily did everything for the guild and Lucius. And yet, what's the matter? You seem to have something to say. Laurent flinches slightly from seeing his friend's cruel expression, but he remains firm, noting that Lucius saw his work for the guild. The guildmaster acts unaware of any work he's done. All these years, Laurent's been recruiting members using skill appraisal and training them for the guild, but Lucius doesn't acknowledge that response. Instead, he explains that as an adventurer, Laurent should know that achievements mean everything. The guildmaster hands a file to his assistant, Diane, asking her to read it out loud. It's Laurent's record for the past month. 98th out of 100 members in the number of monsters defeated, 76th in items collected, and 86th in quests cleared. Laurent slowly closes his mouth as Diane reports his rankings. When he finds his voice, he tries to defend himself, but Lucius doesn't give him the opportunity. As a veteran who joined the guild more than 5 years ago, this is all Laurent can achieve. If everything were up to Lucius, he'd cover for him. But things have changed. The guildmaster needs to consider the whole guild. At least Lucius has a farewell gift for Laurent. If he kept paying the skill appraiser despite his poor achievements, a poor example for other members, so he can take his money and get out. Laurent shakes in anger. He's always been so devoted to the guild and Lucius until now. But this is all he gets in return. Now Laurent sees he's been nothing but a fool. Without a word, the skill appraiser takes the bag before leaving. All the while, he can hear Lucius's cruel laugh. Laurent will never forget about this. As the skill appraiser walks through town, he curses Lucius in his mind. He just doesn't understand why he had to be kicked out. Laurent has done so much for the guild, and his awful adventurer record is the product of the guildmaster's plot against him. Lucius would group him with people who were unsuitable for quests on purpose. He'd then fail to provide their group with necessary items like potions during crucial situations. Despite all that, Laurent gave his best in everything he'd done, but in the end, the person he trusted and supported without reservation discarded him without hesitations. Laurent will never forgive Lucius. One day he'll defeat Lucius. Just wait. Even if Laurent must start over, he'll climb to the top as an adventurer. Though uneasy, the skill appraiser enters the Adventurers Guild to acquire his first job as an independent adventurer after leaving Golden Hawk. He reminds himself to stay strong if he wants to teach Lucius a lesson one day. But as the skill appraiser walks nearer to the counter, he feels the atmosphere become heavier and heavier. Still, Laurent puts on a big smile as he asks the receptionist if there's work for an appraiser. But the woman says they have no job, not a single one. The number of suitable quests for Laurent is 0. He asks the receptionist to search again, and though she doesn't look like she did anything, the receptionist says she tried and found none. From behind, Laurent hears other adventurers whisper about him, saying it's impossible to make a living in this town after getting kicked out of Golden Hawk. He gets it now. Lucius is behind all this. What the heck happened to this world? Everyone's minds are filled with Golden Hawk. That receptionist was so kind to Laurent before, but now everyone locks him out. The friendships he thought he had all collapsed overnight. As Laurent walks around town, his feet become sore, making him too weary to continue. He can only see a dark reality no matter how much he tries. Laurent is so lost in thought that he doesn't notice the man he bumps into. Before the man can confront the idiot, his friend stops him. It's better to leave that guy alone. Nothing good will come from becoming involved with a person with that kind of face. Laurent somehow finds himself at a park and rests on a bench. Even though he's tired, he's still trying. He's trying to find a way out. Even if the skill appraiser tries to regain what he lost, he just knows they'll all slide through his fingers. Everything about Laurent is denied. Everything has been taken away from him. Everything's lost. As negative thoughts flood Laurent's mind, someone calls out to him. A voice amidst the suffocating darkness. It's Lillian Lucier, an adventurer from the Guardians of the Magic Tree. They haven't met since the last quest they did together. Lillian's grateful for him discovering her hidden skill, floating, greatly improving her magic's accuracy. Now, she's risen to the top. Rank A. Laurent congratulates the sorceress, but just one look at his downcast expression tells Lillian something's wrong. If the skill appraiser doesn't mind, she wants to know what happened. Hearing Laurent's been kicked out makes the sorceress so furious and confused that she almost faints. Lillian apologizes for making the skill appraiser worry. To understand what happened, she invites Laurent to a nearby cafe. But even if the sorceress asks for the skill appraiser to tell her about the situation, he's not sure how it happened himself. Laurent understands he's limited as an adventurer, because his sole ability is skill appraisal, though being kicked out of the guild still feels unwarranted. While it's true that the skill appraiser is unsuitable for battle, Lillian knows he's made great advances for the guild using his skill. He's developed countless talented members using skill appraisal. The sorceress always thought that as long Laurent was there, Guardians of the Magic Tree could never compare to Golden Hawk, but they kicked him out. What was Lucius thinking? Laurent thought the guild understood like the sorceress, but he certainly didn't know Laurent could be able to say so. Seeing her as if she was the Nueru Poolshine of death, becoming sad for his sake makes him forget his sorrows. After all, Lillian reminded him, Golden Hawk isn't the only guild in the world. Let's create a new guild. Okay, Laurent wasn't thinking that far ahead. The sorceress smiles, suggesting they create an alchemy guild. The Guardians of the Magic Tree currently have increased demands for earthcraft, the mineral used for weapon repair. However, the guilds that can produce it prioritize Golden Hawk's orders. Lillian's guild can't outplay Golden Hawk with this condition. They need a guild that Lucius's guild won't influence. That's the only way Guardians of the Magic Tree can improve as a guild. With Laurent's ability, he can discover and train people with alchemy skills. If the skill appraiser works on this, he'll one day have a better guild than Golden Hawk. Training people and being a leader are very different jobs. Lillian can imagine Laurent's uneasiness about the idea, but if it's him, Sorceress believes he can do it. The skill appraiser can create a guild that's better than Golden Hawk. Laurent contemplates Lillian's words. Can he do it? Or will he ultimately fail and break the sorceress's hope and trust? After a moment of silence and a heavy sigh, Laurent responds. He'll do it. He'll create a guild that stands out from the others. That's what she expects from the person she admires. Now that's decided, they can eat. And to celebrate Laurent's newfound goal, the sorceress will pay for their meal. After they eat, Lillian immediately stands and takes the skill appraiser by the hand. There's no time to lose. They'll create the guild today and announce the opening tomorrow. Later that day, Laurent finds himself at the guild application office. The officer reviews their form before approving the establishment of an alchemy guild. Looking to the sky, he can't believe they created a guild within a day. And he has Lillian to thank for everything. Spirit Arsenal. The sorceress thinks it's a great name. They'll make Spirit Arsenal the best alchemy guild in town. And first on the agenda is recruiting some members. From what Laurent knows, they must find some refiners, then a workshop manager, and silversmiths. That's a lot, and he thinks they can't get that many people. But the skill appraiser doesn't need to worry. Lillian will give him her full support, and that she does. The next day, Laurent's flooded with the constant stream of applicants, all thanks to the sorceress's recommendation. However, after doing so many interviews, he still hasn't found suitable members. It's irritating the skill appraiser not to have made any progress, even after the sorceress has done so much for him. But Laurent can't give up. He must find someone talented. Though after interviewing so many people, he finally realizes that's not an easy thing to do. This applicant isn't suitable either. Isn't this just a complete waste of time? Laurent just hopes the next person will be that talented someone he's been searching for. As the door opens and closes, Ari comes in, stating she's applying for the silversmith position. The skill appraiser gets to work and checks her status, and what he sees stuns him. Ari's ore refining skill has the potential to become an A-rank ability. She has first-class talent, but she says she's applying for the silversmith position since it's her previous job. If Laurent can make a suggestion, she'll be able to help him out. He'd like Eri to consider becoming a refiner. The applicant takes a moment to reply. Ultimately, as long as she'll be hired, Eri is willing to do any job. With that, Laurent concludes the interview and thanks the applicant for coming. All the while, Eri can't help but wonder if she'll fail again. Ever since her last guild fired her, Eri's done so many interviews but failed every time. Spirit Arsenal is her last hope, but she'd rather not get her hopes too high after many failures. Eri receives a letter the next day, and its contents make her beam. She was considering giving up if she failed the interview. Eri could never have imagined she'd be hired by this new guild supported by the big guild, Guardians of the Magic Tree. Finally, she can continue to work in an alchemy workshop. Eri ecstatically greets the skill appraiser, and Laurent returns her enthusiasm. But it surprises the refiner to know she's the only one who got hired. Perhaps Eri should tell her new boss she can't do ore refining well after all. It's either that or a risk getting scolded like before. In the end, Eri couldn't bring herself to come clean. Laurent notices the refiner's uneasiness but doesn't pry when she says it's nothing. Instead, he shows her the workshop. Everything here is for her, and Eri can't help but marvel at how everything's well prepared. But now it's time for the refiner to get to work, if only she can stop shivering. Eri picks up an iron ore and throws it into the furnace. Next, she just needs to adjust the temperature of the heat, but the iron's heating up too fast because of her nervousness. Throughout it all, Eri can't help but think she's unfit to be a refiner, but the least she can do is try her best. A moment passes, and Eri's done with her first batch. She burnt 9 blocks of rank E iron and only made 1 block of rank D iron. As the refiner apologizes for her shabby job, silence makes Eri wonder if she'll be fired, but she never expected Laurent to praise her work. The skill appraiser genuinely believes Eri is talented. She managed to make the first block of rank D iron so fast. Now he's really glad he hired her. Shocked at being praised after a long while of only being scolded, Eri struggles to respond. She grabs the broom to clean up before starting with the next batch of ore, but Laurent tells her not to worry. She can leave all the chores to him. Yes, Laurent is the guild master, but the only thing he needs his refiner to do is to learn how to make good use of her talent, and if she needs anything, just let the skill appraiser know. Eri never imagined she'd get to concentrate on refining like this. It's as if she's a professional. As a couple of days pass, Eri continues to focus on ore refining, with Laurent supporting her. But if she's done it all the while, then it finally happens. The refiner has created a block of C-rank iron. Eri beams as she holds the block in her hand. It's a piece they can sell, and she did this all thanks to the guildmaster allowing her to focus on her work. From now on, Eri won't just waste materials. Excited about her progress, the refiner runs to Laurent's office to show him the rank C block. But instead of selling it, the guildmaster has something else in mind. The rank C iron is included in the process of what he wants. But he didn't hire the refiner just to C-rank blocks and sell them for a small amount. Laurent needs Eri to refine rank A metals from all these blocks. This shocks the refiner. That's a difficult task, even for an A-rank refiner. Even if the guildmaster says he believes in her, Eri knows it's impossible. Instead of arguing with the refiner, Laurent stands from his desk and gently guides Eri to return to the workshop. They have refining work to do. The skill appraiser feels sorry for pressuring the girl, but he knows she has a lot of room for improvement. It took Eri such a short time to upgrade her ore refining to rank C. She'll need to work harder than before to transmute all those ores into rank A metals. But Laurent's not worried. Eri's so close. Her ore refining is almost A rank. The skill appraiser can do nothing but watch over her. He wants to bet on the refiner's talent and determined efforts. As Eri refines the ore in her hand, she can't help but feel that until a while ago, Laurent's presence made her feel calm. Perhaps this sudden uneasiness is the product of her fear that one day the person supporting her will leave. Still, Eri won't be swallowed by her fear. She doesn't want to lose this job. She wants to be helpful to Laurent, who has hope in her. With those thoughts fueling her every move, Eri's determined to turn all the iron blocks into rank A ones. Then she'll become an A-rank refiner. It's day 1, and Eri has difficulty making the ores into good shape. But by day 3, she's going to be a refiner. Eri's beginning to adapt to the life of a refiner. A week later, Eri's wasted countless ores. She's struck the iron so many times that her hands hurt, but the refiner's hard work has paid off. With Laurent by her side, Eri marvels at her latest creation. It's an A-rank iron block. Tears pool in the refiner's eyes as she thanks the guildmaster, but Laurent believes there's no need for thanks. After all, He only provided a space for Eri to awaken the talent inside her. The rest was the result of her hard work and perseverance. Well done. Eri's tears finally cascade as she hears those words of praise, but Laurent should be the one thanking her. With her diligence, the refiner position is set. He can now focus on hiring silversmiths and a manager. Only then can Laurent hope to make Spirit Arsenal the best guild in town. 1 month after establishing Spirit Arsenal, the rate of product manufacturing has increased. Having to worry about such things is very encouraging for Laurent. As Lillian arrives to visit the guild, she can see how the spirit skill appraiser is doing much better. It's certainly a far cry from his gloomy state weeks ago. Before the sorceress and the skill appraiser can catch up, Eri arrives with an earthcraft in hand. She's shocked upon seeing the adventurer. Laurent wastes no time formally introducing the refiner before asking her to show Lillian what she has. The sorceress marvels at the magnificent earthcraft, but that's not all Eri made. The refiner crafted every product stored in the guild. Despite her amazing work, Eri shyly states she simply followed Laurent's work. The refiner is not the only one who has been able to make such an excellent product, but Lillian prefers to give the girl the recognition she deserves. It's impossible to make such an excellent product if following orders was all Eri did. Smiling gently at the refiner, the sorceress promises she and the guardians of the magic tree will do their best to match her efforts. Their next dungeon conquest will certainly be a success. From how Eri beams at Lillian, Laurent's certain she'll be more confident. The sorceress's approval means a lot to the refiner, after all. So that's why the spirit appraiser is so confident in the refiner. The skill appraiser asks Lillian to come over. It seems her worries were unnecessary. Before the sorceress leaves, she commends Laurent's efforts. She's not surprised by how he nurtured Eri's talents so well, but just like the refiner, the skill appraiser has difficulty accepting compliments. With that, Lillian says her goodbyes. She'd love to stay with Laurent longer, but duty calls. The sorceress will surely tell him the result of their next dungeon conquest. Meanwhile, servants line up at the Golden Hawks Guild Hall to welcome her. Lillian is greeted by the armor knight, Lady Jill Irwin. Though she appears calm and collected on the surface, the elegant woman wonders why the guildmaster made such a rule. Jill is not the kind of person who enjoys this over-the-top greeting. This special treatment reminds the armor knight of how she gained this position and her abilities, thanks to Laurent. He discovered Jill had the potential to become an armor knight. At first, she doubted him. How could Jill become anything like that when she didn't have enough stamina to wear heavy armor? But Laurent wasn't deterred by the girl's hesitations. But he knew they could build up her stamina through strict training. Under his guidance, Jill underwent stamina and muscle training for an armor knight. They also trained in melee combat, something she wasn't particularly good at. Laurent made sure to hone Jill's offensive and defensive skills intensely. After training for a long time, the trainee thought she was ready to become a tank. But he reiterated he wanted her to become a DPS armor knight. Jill was crushed. She just finished learning how to move around with a shield. Laurent sensed her disappointment and swiftly encouraged her. He believed she could do it, even if Jill didn't believe in herself. After that training, Laurent brought his trainee to the armory reserved for high-ranking members, and behind those doors was a weapon made especially for Jill. She looked at it in shock, knowing a member of her rank wasn't qualified to receive such a blade. How could the guild even spare money for this? But Jill soon understood that Laurent had arranged for this weapon himself. This, in his words, made her realize that he absolutely believed in her, and that unwavering support from Laurent pushed Jill to become the first-class armor knight he'd imagined. Then came the time for the trainee to go to the dungeon to practice with her fellow rookies. Their leader alerted them to get ready for an incoming enemy, but none of them expected they'd face an enormous stone golem. Just a single blow told them the monster was insanely powerful. The party leader called for everyone to retreat, but Jill didn't listen. She struggled through painful training for this moment. Besides, the golem was made of stone. She knew there'd be no reason she couldn't cut it into pieces. Jill leaped high with all her might, bringing down her blade on the first golem. Then on the second and the third, the armor knight defeated the monsters with one cut each. As a result of her training, Jill became the first ever newbie to take down 3 golems in her first battle, and all she could think of was whether Laurent would praise her. However, Jill was summoned by the guildmaster as soon as she returned. Though the armor knight believed she had more training, Lucius disagreed, and was already considering assigning her more difficult quests. After multiple tasks, one after the other, Jill has finally returned. Thanks to Laurent, she didn't end up spending her entire life as an ordinary archer. She can't wait to see him after so long. But upon opening the door to the skill appraiser's room, Jill only finds a stranger. The guild servant informs her that Laurent has been banished from Golden Hawk. The armor knight immediately rushes to Lucius's office. She can't understand why Laurent would be banished, but she says it was a misunderstanding. Upon hearing Laurent's name, Lucius's expressions sour. The man he banished is now working with a sorceress from Guardians of the Magic Tree. From what he knows, they became close since the quest they did together. Laurent helped the sorceress nurture her skills and became very loyal to her. It pains Lucius to believe he'd easily forget the favors he obtained from Golden Hawk and bend over to the competing guild. After hearing all the details, Jill doesn't bother to respond. She knows there must be a better reason behind all this. Whatever's happening, the armor knight swears she'll save Laurent. As he's alerted of an approaching malignity of goblins, the party's captain calmly orders the members to clear the monsters with a long-range attack. On his mark, the archer and sorcerer strike the enemies clean. Easy peasy. When Lucius assigned Marco this task, he wondered what would happen, but isn't this dungeon conquest a walk in the park? Well, that's to be expected. With their up-to-date gear and strong, deserving warriors led by the intelligent Marco, aka Golden Hawk's lethal weapon, he'll make this large-scale dungeon conquest a success. As the guild scouts reach the deepest part of the dungeon, the party hurries forward to their location. Marco quirks an eyebrow at the sight awaiting him. Rows upon rows of coffins line the cavern, making the captain wonder if this is what a large dungeon is about. Marco's face is twisted in frustration, while another stares at the contents of an open coffin. These are all skeletons. Not bothering to respond to the shaken guild member, the captain lets him take a break while he thinks of a plan. With their worn weapons, they won't have enough earthcraft to support the fight against that many enemies. Not to mention, the team's already tired. If Marco fails this conquest, Lucius will certainly fire him. The guild member from before approaches the brooding captain with a report, but now's not a good time to talk to the irritated man. Marco realizes it'll be impossible to succeed against the horde of skeletons. A suicide attack could be an option, but that's a stupid move. With all things considered, the captain orders his men to retreat. They'll take the information back to the guild. That's the least they can do. But the lowly guild member dares to question Marco's orders. Does he think he knows better than the captain? Though the guild member received an earful, he stood his ground. After all, another man is here to conquer the dungeon. Well, that's news to Marco. Why didn't this guy say that earlier? He tried to, but you were too pissy to hear the report. And pray tell, who is this force that dares to challenge the party from the Golden Hawk Guild? The guild member doesn't dare to look their captain in the eyes as he says, "It's the Guardians of the Magic Tree's main force led by Lilian." Marco falls silent before he bursts out laughing. He retracts his order from earlier. They can't pass up this beneficial situation. While the other guild's captain is busy monologuing, the Guardians of the Magic Tree's main force begins their coordinated attack. The tank serves as the vanguard, receiving the first few hits from the undead with his shield. A dual-wielding swordsman closely follows him. As the tank bashes the enemy away, he readies his shield to fling the swordsman farther into the skeleton army's lineup. He lands gracefully, slicing the undead neatly in half. And before its comrade can strike him from behind, the party's archer deals a powerful blow to the undead. The archer deals a headshot. He'll cover for the swordsman so he can whack away at the skeletons to his heart's content. Oh, the lower guild is beginning their attack. If Marco sees that, why aren't they hurrying to beat them to the punch? The captain asks the guild member to look carefully at the Magic Tree's damaged weapons. Golden Hawk has monopolized all the earthcraft in town for weapon repair. If these inferior adventurers can't repair their weapons, they can't defeat such a large number of monsters. Marco and his men must wait for Magic Tree's main force to destroy their weapons completely, and that won't take long. So he orders the team to prepare for battle. They'll strike after the fireworks. Lilian holds her magic staff high as she prepares to cast an offensive spell with a massive AoE. Multiple magic circles surround her, signaling her comrades that she's about to strike. Break! A massive thunderbolt strikes the cavern's ground, the explosion leaving a crater the size of an asteroid. But Marco knows the sorceress can't use her magic continuously. This is their chance to steal the victory and offer it to their guild master. However, the lower guild does something Marco never expected. The archer, tank, and swordsman repair their weapons with earthcraft. But how on earth did they get that? This isn't good. Marco knows that if this goes on, it's game over. Golden Hawk's party rushes to stop Magic Tree from conquering the dungeon, but Lilian won't let them steal the victory that's rightfully theirs. Instead of taking a break, the sorceress gears up for another round of her AoE Thunderbolt spell. This is it. Lilian will deliver the final blow. Blood drains from Marco's face as he watches the sorceress's spell clear the remaining undead. It pushed Lillian to her limit, but it's done. She can tell Laurent that they conquered the dungeon. They even have this precious material as proof. After the disastrous dungeon conquest, Marco delivers his report to the guildmaster. "So you just stood there and watched our enemy conquer the dungeon?" Lucius's gaze is steady and menacing, so much so that Marco can't help but shiver. He tries to defend himself. After all, it's not his fault. It's all because Magic Tree somehow got their hands on Earthcraft. If it weren't for that, Marco's deductions were flawless. But that excuse won't fly with Lucius. He can't believe this shameless elite member. As Marco lowers his head in apology, the guildmaster demotes him and tells him to get lost. Lucius asks Diane if they have a replacement ready for that elite member. The secretary suggests Jill for the part. But knowing she's the girl who improved because of Laurent, Lucius deems her unready. In any case, they have other things to worry about. Despite Marco's failure, he's right that it's strange for Magic Tree to have gotten a supply of Earthcraft. Golden Hawk has monopolized all the Earthcraft in this town, so others can't acquire it. That leads Diane to conclude there must be a traitor among the guilds. Lucius bangs his fist on his desk. He orders Diane to summon the representatives of each guild. Just wait. He'll uncover the traitor and crush them. Meanwhile, at Spirit Arsenal, Aerie rushes to Laurent's office after she hears a loud noise. But he tells her everything's fine. He just dropped a cup of tea. Aerie begs to disagree. Everything's not fine. Laurent has been overworking himself for the past few days. On top of the work he must do, he must also train the 4 new hires. Not to mention Laurent still conducting interviews. With Aerie volunteering to clean up the broken teacup, Laurent rushes to the interview room. He knows Aerie is right. His workload is becoming too heavy. Laurent must find someone with the workshop management skill fast before he reaches his limit. As he opens the door, his heart is full of hope. He sits down to face the interviewee, who introduces himself as Langa Riles, is an applicant for the mineral mining job. Just one glance, and Laurent can tell this guy knows himself well. His mineral mining skill is first-rate, but he can shine even brighter with just a bit of polishing. Without a doubt, Laurent has come across a first-class gemstone. Lang is a master of the field, and he knows exactly the person Spirit Arsenal needs. Knowing this, Laurent doesn't beat around the bush. The guild would be happy to have him on board. On one condition, he wants him to work on workshop management. Doubt and hesitation spread on Lang's gentle features, but Laurent tells him not to worry. He'll be given full support so his talent can shine brightly. Lang admits he lacks confidence as he has never worked in management before. But if the guildmaster insists, he'll be looking forward to working in the guild. Laurent wastes no time immediately training the new hire, beginning with explaining how management works. For that, Langa must know how to use a magical accounting book, and the best way to learn is through practice. Laurent gives the new hire a pen and instructs him to write his name on the book. As Langa does as he's told, the accounting book glows and numbers float. This item can calculate expenses automatically, as long as the user has the workshop management skill. By organizing the data, the number will be reduced. As Laurent guides Lang to another part of the building, he asks if he knows why the number's reduced. He answers correctly. By making the data brief, they eliminated waste. And that will be Langa's job as the workshop manager. Reduce the workshop's cost by eliminating waste. Before doubt can creep in, the new member of Spirit Arsenal declares he'll do his best. Whenever he eliminates waste, the guild's expenses keep decreasing, and the satisfaction Lang feels tells him he's suitable for this job. The next morning, Lillian invites Laurent out for tea. Thanks to him, the Guardians of the Magic Tree's main force won the dungeon conquest from Golden Hawk. As a result of that victory, the guild achieved first place in the number of monsters defeated category. Laurent is thrilled to hear that. But more importantly, he heard a new mine was discovered. If Lillian doesn't mind, he'd like to use their guild's ores. That's perfect for the sorceress, since she's been meaning to order some gear from Spirit Arsenal. Instead of excitement, hesitation crosses Laurent's face. Their guild doesn't have enough money to produce gear, because the bank refused to provide him with a loan. However, they said Spirit Arsenal could get the 50 million gold loan if their profit ratio increased by 5%. Laurent is aware that much of an increase will be challenging, but Spirit Arsenal will achieve it and deliver the gear Lillian needs. Later that day, Aerie's surprised as a frantic Lang accidentally bumps into her. Laurent helps her, explaining how their workshop manager is in a rush because this month's quota is very harsh. To watch over the guy. As Lang arrives at the workshop, he can't think of anything but increasing the profit ratio. So far, they've only achieved a 2% increase. That's not enough. In his desire to increase profits via a fast-paced environment, Lang pushes the workers and their tools to the limit. Only then will they complete the tasks at hand. But he failed to foresee the consequence of using cracked magic items and damaged hammers. Ultimately, Lang calls for everyone to stop working, and as Laurent approaches, he can only apologize for his mistakes. Laurent wonders if Lang has been prioritizing safety, but how can Lang do that when they need to hurry and meet the profit ratio increase? Laurent's voice is gentle as he addresses Lang. He doesn't need to achieve the 5% goal. Lang's great talent is growing daily, and all Laurent asks is for him to be patient and believe in himself. Eyes widening in realization, the man excuses himself after hearing Laurent's encouragement. He knows what to do now, and this time he won't make mistakes. As Ari approaches, Laurent tells her not to worry about Lang. He's sure the manager understands his hints and that he does. Lang instructs the workers as though talking to himself. Don't rush, be patient. Though taking a slower pace may seem counterintuitive, Lang sees the desired results in the magic accounting book. They may seem like they're working slower, but they're progressing fast. And if that's the case, Lang will check every nook and cranny to ensure the work is going well. As Lang finally grasps the key to working efficiently, his eyes begin seeing things that weren't there before. Numbers are floating around the workshop, just like in the accounting book. This must result from Lang's workshop management skill ranking up. His sight is so advanced that he can see and prevent a workplace injury before it can happen. Days pass without a single occupational accident occurring, and it's all thanks to Lang's understanding of the importance of safety. With that, it doesn't take long for him to increase the profit ratio by 5%. Now they can acquire the loan and produce the gear for Guardians of the Magic Tree. Before that, Spirit Arsenal will need ores. Laurent provides Langa with a dungeon pass to acquire what they need. And with the guy's first-rate mineral mining skill, the Guildmaster doesn't doubt this task will be a breeze for him. Things are going well for Laurent and Spirit Arsenal. At least until he hears they have a guest, Diane of Goldenhawk. What a barren workshop! Diane sits with her legs crossed as she disdainfully eyes Spirit Arsenal's interiors. When Laurent asks what her business at the guild is, she glares at him. What's with this guy's attitude? Has he forgotten his position? Ling enters the Guildmaster's office before his guest can make him any more uncomfortable than he already is. The workshop manager has the courtesy to serve Diane a cup of tea, and what does she say? The tea looks so cheap. You can't blame Linga for thinking how arrogant this woman is. Nor can he blame himself for talking to her bluntly. After all, Ling can't help but wonder what business brought one of the Golden Hawk's elite members to their modest workshop. Karen here raises her eyebrows at the manager. Why is everyone talking to her with such awful attitudes? Don't they know Diane's here to kindly save their guild? And by that, she means she'll offer Spirit Arsenal the chance to become Golden Hawk's subsidiary. Shock is written all over Linga's face. But when he hears the arrogant woman belittle their guild's workshop, he stands angrily. Ling has heard enough. But surely Laurent understands Diane's proposition. Only a fool would pass it up. With kindness in his eyes, the Guildmaster says he'll consider the offer depending on the condition. A wry smile graces Diane's lips. She wants Spirit Arsenal to sell them A-rank iron for 100 gold each. Only then can they become Golden Hawk's subsidiary. It's not a bad deal for you, is it? Diane says that with a big, mirthless grin, even though she knows that 100 gold is unreasonable for something worth 300. What she didn't expect is for Laurent to accept the condition gratefully. Is he a fool? Diane guesses she wasn't obvious enough, so she'll say it to Laurent's face. She came here to mock him. How dare he not be offended by her antics? Seriously, though, what's this lady's damage? Is this what being Lucius's secretary does to a person? After rage quitting, Diane angrily stomps through town. Why would that fool accept her condition when it's impossible to sell A-rank iron for 100 gold each? How would he earn a profit? This line of questioning leads Diane to conclude that Laurent must be Lillian's lover. The kept man and his sugar mommy, what a disgusting pair. Again, what is this woman's damage? Meanwhile, in a mansion drenched in luxury, Count Elson has summoned Lucius for an important matter. The Count's daughter will get married soon, so he wants to prepare silverware as her dowry. Elson knows many alchemy guilds are working under Lucius, with him having the largest number of splendid alchemists. As such, the Count invites Golden Hawk's guildmaster to the silverware fair he'll be hosting. After this, Elson plans to hold the fair regularly and make it a specialty of their town. Having Lucius's subsidiary guild participate in a competition will enliven the event. Elson's sure it'll be a wonderful occasion, with alchemists gathering regardless of their origins and positions. They'll compete on equal footing, with only their skills carrying importance. The creation of the first champion in the silverware fair will become the dowry of the Count's daughter. Is there no better prize than this great honor? Of course, the prize money will also be quite a fortune. So what does Lucius say? I will win the competition. That's the spirit. Elson assumed the guildmaster would say that. Now, for a toast, a celebratory drink in advance. Lucius humbly accepts the wine with a charming smile, though he's cursing the prodigal nobleman on the inside. He'll just play along since this will be a good chance to display his prowess. Without a doubt, Golden Hawk will produce the best silverware. While Lucius is getting on the nobleman's good graces, Laurent is at the quest reception office for the first time in a while. The receptionist jumps in surprise upon hearing his voice. Liliane did say she'd do something about the receptionist after last time, but what did the sorceress do exactly? In any case, Laurent states his business. He's looking for 5 individuals with the mineral mining skill above B rank and 5 with the item storage skill above C rank. The receptionist asks him to wait a moment while she searches through a book, but when her search comes out lacking, she gulps before apologizing profusely. No one with a mineral mining skill is available. Surprised by the receptionist's behavior, Laurent asks her to raise her head. After their previous interaction, the receptionist regretted how she treated him. But it's fine. Laurent sees it as water under the bridge, so chin up, Miss Receptionist. Before the guildmaster leaves, he asks the receptionist to send his request to the 5 individuals with the item storage skill and contact him when she finds someone with the mineral mining skill. Laurent knew finding a freelancer with an above B rank mineral mining skill would be rare, so for now, all he can do is wait. As night has fallen, Laurent drops by a tavern to have dinner. After the waitress takes his order, a familiar face approaches him. It's Zenth, the manager of a refinery guild. If he remembers correctly, the last time he saw Laurent was at a meeting in Golden Hawk. After such a long time, Zenth guesses he must have become an elite member now and achieved many great things. To the manager's surprise, Laurent says he's been kicked out of Golden Hawk, but there's no need to worry about him. The skill appraiser is doing great now. At least with Laurent out of Golden Hawk, Zenth can rant about something bothering him. The manager slams his fists on the table. Working with Lucius has been unbearable. He assigned other work to the refiners while demanding their guild deliver A-rank iron at 200 gold each. Moreover, Lucius ordered all capable alchemists in his subsidiary guilds to produce the finest silverware. A great lord is searching for the perfect item to serve as the dowry for his daughter's marriage. To do so, he's hosting a silverware fair, but with Zenth's refiners gone and his guild being required to undersell A-rank iron, he's at a loss on how he can run his business moving forward. If that's the situation, allow Laurent's guild to produce the iron. He's willing to sell A-rank iron for 100 gold each. In return, can Zenth loan Spirit Arsenal 5 employees with the mineral mining skill above B rank? The guild manager gladly accepts Laurent's proposition. It's a deal that will benefit them both, after all. Though Zenth wonders if there's a bigger reason behind this agreement, he opens his doors to Laurent. He'll help in any way he can if need be. After a few glasses of celebratory liquor, Spirit Arsenal's guildmaster unsteadily walks through town. He's drunk too much, but at least he finally secured manpower. To Laurent's right, he sees a cloaked little girl selling flowers when a man suddenly pushes her away, her back slamming into a wall. Like, what the heck, man? The girl wasn't obstructing your way at all. As Laurent rushes to help, the girl removes her hood, revealing her pointed ears. He picks up all the scattered flowers, and the girl thanks him by giving him one for free. In return for the flower, Laurent asks if she'd like him to appraise her talent. The girl shyly accepts his offer, standing still as he works his skill appraiser magic. Laurent wishes for the kind girl to have the best results, but he never expected something like this. Who is this kid? The elven girl's status reveals she has S-rank potential, but her skills all fall under alchemy, an area in which S-ranks almost exclusively exist in dwarves, the elves' enemies. This girl shouldn't be capable of learning these skills, yet here they are. Before Laurent can ask any questions, the elven girl's mother arrives. She introduces herself as Sils and her child as Chial. Laurent does the same, saying he's an appraiser of an alchemy guild. Before excitedly sharing his discovery regarding Chial's alchemy skills, Sils listens earnestly, impressed by how this man can obtain appraisal results in such great detail. If Laurent has any advice for them, she'd like to talk to him more. But they'd better head somewhere more convenient to discuss matters. Sils invites the skill appraiser to their home, wondering where to begin regarding her daughter's skills. Chial once lived in a dwarf's cave, which surprises Laurent, considering dwarves are enemies of their race. That hostility is exactly why Sils's daughter came to learn alchemy. Not long ago, a small fight between a group of elves and dwarves broke into a war that grew more serious by the day. So much blood was spilled. One day, a dwarf captured Chial, treating her as their prisoner and forcing her to do alchemy work. As such, the skills Sils's daughter possesses are those she was forced to learn because of war. That's why she and her husband think Chial's abilities are detestable. Even so, their kid fell in love with alchemy. What should Sils think of this scar of war? She still has no idea. As Laurent's an expert who often deals with skills, she turns to him for advice. The skill appraiser closes his eyes in contemplation before answering. Would you be willing to change your way of thinking? Instead of considering Chial's skill as a scar of war, why not consider it a great treasure? Fury flashes across Sils's delicate features, but Laurent continues his explanation. Her daughter indeed obtained her abilities due to a dark past, but there's a light hidden in her gift that can dispel that darkness. And that's because Chial has the potential to become an S-rank alchemist. Laurent stands and lowers his head. It'd be a pity to waste such a great talent. So he begs them to entrust this great gift to him and the guild. Laurent promises to take good care of Chial. Though Sils seems to consider the proposition, the elven girl's father, Isua, objects. He won't let this man hire his daughter, no matter how much he begs. Laurent already heard Chial's situation, didn't he? That rare gift he's talking about is nothing but the work of those cave dwellers. How can Laurent ask Isua's little girl to do the same work as the dwarves who put her through so much pain? Their family wants to forget about their difficult times apart from their daughter, so they'd appreciate it if Laurent left them alone. The next day, the skill appraiser walks through town defeated. His mind is still filled with the events of the previous night. Does he have to give up on such a genius? Is there nothing he can do about it? It's also Chial's wish to put her great talent to use. Laurent curses. It pains him to be unable to help the girl who has great talent and enthusiasm. A father who can't forget the scar of war, and a daughter who sought out the ray of light amidst the darkness she was thrown into. Their views are completely different. What can Laurent do about that? Before the skill appraiser can find his answers, Liliane arrives concerned about the man's gloomy disposition. She'd love to hear what's troubling him, but Laurent dismisses it as nothing. Besides, they're here to talk about business. The sorceress and the skill appraiser's agenda for today is the weapon order. Spirit Arsenal finally has the budget and manpower to handle Liliane's request, but she has to admit that it'll be a difficult commission. Laurent reviews the specifics for the amount of gear required by the guardians of the magic tree. It's a lot. Not to mention, Liliane will need it all 1 week from now. Doubt starts to creep into Laurent's heart. Will Spirit Arsenal make everything in time? Tightening her clasped hands, Liliane says she understands her request is unreasonable. But if the guild doesn't prepare enough gear, they'll have trouble during the dungeon conquest. Sure, they can complete the conquest just fine. However, their current gear won't be enough to protect their loot. All the preparation Liliane's arranging is needed to surpass Golden Hawk finally, and that's motivation enough for Laurent. He'll get started on the weapon order right this instant. Linga greets the guildmaster cheerfully when he arrives. Everyone's been waiting for him. All the workers are here. 30 recently joined their ranks. The weapon order must be a big commission to require this many workers here all at once. But whatever Laurent needs, Linga has his back. The guildmaster smiles fondly at the workshop manager. Linga certainly has become a reliable man, and he's certain Chial can also become great, given the chance. But Laurent can't dwell on what's lost too much. He must focus on the work before his eyes. The guildmaster stands proudly as he speaks to the workers. He knows being suddenly assigned such a big job might make them uneasy, but Laurent promises Spirit Arsenal will give them all the support they need. This will be an extremely difficult task. However, he believes they can complete it. Aha, classic Laurent and his motivational speaker skills. You can do it. Never give up. Matsuoka Shuzo would be proud. Never back down. Never what? The guildmaster's words work like a charm. Everyone's all geared up to get this weapon order done. Asking for Linga's assistance, Laurent divides the workers into small groups. One man is assigned to do molding work while his partner will work on details after. This way, they can compensate for each other's weaknesses. The same goes for everyone else. Laurent puts his skill appraiser ability to good use, identifying workers who best suit one another. As he does, Ling observes in awe. All these people only met a few hours ago, yet Laurent managed to have them all work in harmony. Thanks to the skill appraiser's diligence in setting up teams, the workers are going through their tasks fast. They've become a well-oiled machine in such a short time. At this pace, Linga has no doubt they'll finish the large order. Days go by with the workshop bustling with life. Everyone's focused on getting the job done until finally the weapon order is finished. Laurent thanks the workers for the job well done, though I doubt anyone can hear him when they're exhausted and slumped on the floor. Soon the carriage filled with weapons is ready. Just wait, Lilian. Spirit Arsenal will deliver everything all at once. At the town plaza, members of the Golden Hawk cheer on their departing comrades for the dungeon conquest. One member notices the sorceress standing by and doesn't hesitate to snide her. Good luck, no weapon guild. Lilian tries her best to control herself. It's a waste to let herself be angered by that fool. And in any case, the only thing she can do is trust Laurent and Spirit Arsenal. She believes they can do it. Laurent and Linga finally arrive at the scene, making the sorceress beam. The guildmaster apologizes for making her wait. But here it is, as promised. The adventurers marvel at Magic Tree's new weapons, an entire carriage filled with shields, swords, staffs, and more. Lilian rushes to thank Laurent for making it in time. She'll surely repay the favor someday, but the skill appraiser tells the sorceress not to say that. When he was depressed after getting fired from Golden Hawk, Lilian was the one who helped him. Laurent wouldn't be in this position if it weren't for her. Together, Guardians of the Magic Tree and Spirit Arsenal will build the best future. Lilian stares fondly at Laurent. She'll strike a counterattack for this hope he has given her and make it to the top. Together, they'll defeat Golden Hawk. Laurent and Linga walk back to the workshop. With the weapon order delivered, their job is done. But this also marks a new beginning. From now on, they have a battle to win. When Laurent arrives at Spirit Arsenal, Aerie greets him, informing him they have a guest. She seems to be an elf. Hearing that makes the guildmaster sprint to his office. He couldn't do anything last time, but certainly this will be his chance to help Xiao. However, behind Laurent's office door isn't the alchemy genius, but her mother, Sils. The woman apologizes for the sudden visit and what happened with him and her husband. Laurent smiles gently and says she has nothing to say sorry for. But Sils knows it's the right thing to do, especially when she's here today to ask the skill appraiser a favor. She wants to order weapons from Spirit Arsenal, as they're necessary for them to never go through the horrors of the past. Laurent understands that much. However, why would the elves want to order weapons from him? Sils's expression softens as she lowers her gaze. Their family's business isn't doing well, so they have little money, but they remain in a dangerous position without weapons. So they must acquire them by all means. Admittedly, Sils and the others came to this town to obtain gear. She knows her request may be inappropriate, considering the trouble Laurent went through when they first met, but Sils begs him to accept their request. Understanding the situation, the guildmaster asks for the order details and their budget. He reviews the paper Sils pushes forward as she says this is their limit. But judging by these numbers, Laurent can't do even 50% of the order with this little money. Though the guildmaster apologizes to Sils, he's racking his brains for anything he can do to help. And that's when Xiao's face flashes in his mind. If they let Laurent hire her, Spirit Arsenal might be capable of meeting their order within this budget. Sils remains staring at her lap. She can't make such an important decision without her husband. With that, the woman stands and apologizes for her unreasonable request. Yet again, Laurent couldn't do anything for Xiao or her family. 7 uneventful days pass, but the guildmaster can't forget what happened. Even when he drowns himself in all the guild work, Xiao and her family are at the back of his mind. Before Laurent's thoughts consume him, Aerie enters his office to remind him of his appointment. The skill appraiser hurries to the meeting place and apologizes to Lilian for being late. Once Laurent's all settled, the sorceress gets to the point. Would Spirit Arsenal be interested in purchasing silver ore? They've mined plenty in the dungeons recently. However, Golden Hawk has monopolized all the alchemists capable of manufacturing silverware. This talk of silver ore only reminds Laurent of Xiao, and his pained expression doesn't go unnoticed by the sorceress. Lilian has noticed that Laurent has a habit of overthinking things, but she understands where it's coming from. Proceeding when you're afraid of failure is difficult. However, unlike before, Laurent is no longer alone. The talented people he has nurtured have all grown into strong beings. Like them, Laurent can go for what he desires to do, just like that little girl. Lilian stands as Xiao arrives. She and Laurent can talk about business at their next meeting. For now, the sorceress hopes he'll help the little girl just like how he helped her. Lilian encourages Xiao to tell Laurent what she came here for before leaving the two to talk. With a bow, the elven girl greets the skill appraiser. She's here to ask him a favor. After hearing Count Elson would be holding a silverware fair, she couldn't just stand and let the opportunity go by. Xiao loves crafting silver so much. That's why she begs Laurent to help her become a great silversmith. Hearing no reply, Xiao peers at the skill appraiser as she keeps her head bowed. Does his silence mean no? Laurent apologizes. He should have gone to talk to her rather than the other way around. When he learned about Xiao's past, Laurent hesitated, doubting she'd enjoy working as an alchemist. But how could she not be happy? Xiao loves alchemy. She wants to dedicate her life to it. Even before Laurent understood that was the girl's wish, he could see it in her eyes. Yet he hesitated and pretended not to have noticed. That ends now. Laurent will convince Xiao's father, so from here on out, they'll cooperate and make silverware together. The skill appraiser promises to help Xiao become a great silversmith. When Laurent arrives with the elven girl at the workshop, he's ready to discuss future expenditures with Linga. The workshop manager is more than happy to do so. After all, Spirit Arsenal is well funded thanks to his efforts. But as Linga reviews Laurent's request, his smile falters. This is a lot. Is this all for the girl? The guildmaster introduces Kial as their new silversmith. Scratching his head, Linga guesses nothing he says can change Laurent's mind. So he'll do what he can to buy everything needed and remodel the workshop. If anything, Linga assures the guildmaster that he can count on him. With that settled, Laurent and Xiao can get to work. The skilled workshop manager doesn't take long to find a suitable new workshop for their guild. He even arranges for the place to be filled with flowers, a perfect environment for their new silversmith. Coincidentally, Spirit Arsenal's neighbors and the people Linga ordered the flowers from are none other than Sils and Isua. Thanks to the massive order, they have enough to cover their weapon costs for this month. They just have to go over and thank them. A guild worker welcomes the elven couple, guiding them inside the building. But looking around, Isua and Sils can't believe this place is a workshop, with its beautiful architecture and the blossoming flowers adorning every corner. The guild worker opens the door to one of the workshop's rooms, only to reveal the elven couple's daughter practicing alchemy. Xiao immediately apologizes to her father. She requested a job at Spirit Arsenal because of her love for crafting silver. Isua can't help but feel betrayed by his daughter. How could she? But Xiao stands her ground. She knows her father deeply cares for her. However, she won't relinquish her dream of becoming a silversmith. Xiao will pursue her passion even if her father disagrees with it. Isua turns to Laurent, commending how perfectly he arranged the workshop to suit elves. Though he doesn't appreciate the surprise, Isua can't think of a better place for his daughter to work in. It took quite an effort from Laurent, Ling, and Spirit Arsenal. But Xiao has finally gained her father's permission to go after her dream. With everything set for the new silversmith, Laurent officially introduces her to the rest of Spirit Arsenal. Xiao stands before the guild members, filled with boundless enthusiasm. She may look young, but she has unique talents, just like everyone here. Next on the guildmaster's agenda is receiving important reports. A guild member raises his hand, informing Laurent he has finished making an A-class weapon. Its attack ability allows it to destroy anything. But there's one major drawback. The weapon will be shattered after delivering a powerful blow. In light of this, the worker promises to enhance the weapon's endurance next time. Laurent doesn't blame the worker for encountering such a big disadvantage. A-class items are difficult to produce, and that's where Xiao's product design skill can shine. The guildmaster and the silversmith move to a room furnished as a classroom. Though talented, Xiao must be nurtured to the fullest to unlock her true potential. And that's what all these books on product design are for. Laurent will even learn with her to effectively handle this part of the production. As instructed, Xiao opens the red-covered book. She's unsure if she'll have what it takes to learn from textbooks. But to the elven girl's surprise, the contents are easy to learn, and that's enough to motivate Kiel to study as much as possible. The day went on uneventfully, with the skill appraiser and the silversmith learning what they could about product design. But everyone has their limits, including Chial. Thankfully, Aries here to the rescue. While she escorts the girl outside to take a break, Laurent marvels at how much Chial has already studied. The next day, the skill appraiser instructs the silversmith to study the blue-covered book. Her enthusiasm hasn't waned, and it shows in her full marks. Xiao has proved she's ready to practice the concepts they've been learning. Laurent instructs the silversmith to draw an A-class bow design. Rest assured that she'll have his full support. If Xiao needs help with anything, just let Laurent know. The silversmith asks for a few high-ranking designs for reference, but the guildmaster returns with a big stack of them. Xiao knows he must have spent a lot to buy these confidential blueprints from other workshops. So she must do her best to finish her A-class bow design, thus marking the beginning of the silversmith toiling over her task. Xiao spends days and nights trying to perfect the design. One night, on her way to sleep after an unsuccessful day, she hears voices from the guildmaster's office. Ling is furious as he wonders if Laurent's lost his mind. What he's asking is impossible for Spirit Arsenal to fulfill. 50 A-rank bows for 1,000,000 gold is unreasonable. Are they seriously going through all this trouble just to keep Qiao working for the guild? Overhearing everything, the elven girl runs to her room as guilt consumes her. Laurent and the guild are going through tough times all because she wants to become a silversmith. The guildmaster runs after Qiao, apologizing for what she heard. He hopes she doesn't misunderstand. The price for those weapons was his suggestion. Her parents said he didn't need to go through that much trouble. But Laurent insisted. He's certain Qiao can hone her talents in time to help them deliver the weapon order. Admittedly, Laurent has his motives for doing these things for the elven girl. As an appraiser, he swore he'd help all the talented people he could find to become the best. Laurent once broke that promise by ignoring her in the beginning. But he won't repeat that mistake. All Xiao has to do now is enjoy alchemy work. After saying his piece, Laurent wishes the elven girl a good night. The next day, the silversmith rises from her slumber with renewed strength. As she greets Linga a good morning, the workshop manager apologizes. But Xiao knows he was simply doing his job. She was so indulged in pursuing her dream that she never considered how much trouble she brought to the guild. Xiao wants to contribute to the guild just like everyone else. That's why she promises to do her best. She just needs a little more time. One day, Xiao will repay everyone's favors as a member of Spirit Arsenal. The silversmith carries this spirit in her heart as she enters her workroom. She promises she'll become Spirit Arsenal's S-rank alchemist. Xiao crumples the paper with her latest bow design, knowing she can do better. Soon, piles of rejected designs fill her workroom, but the elven girl's determination remains burning brightly. Outside the workroom, Eri and Linga voice their worries about Xiao to Laurent. Isn't she pushing herself too hard? But for now, they can only be patient and support her in any way they can. Later that day, Laurent checks on the silversmith just in time to review her design's progress. It's perfect so far, but it's a design no one in Spirit Arsenal can make. After all, the guild is still in its infancy. To follow Qiao's design, they'd need a highly skilled craftsman. So, for the bow design to be usable, it must only require B-rank skills. Qiao immediately thinks of a solution. She'll simplify the base while maintaining the required materials. That way, they can gather the materials while she works on the final design. Laurent smiles in agreement, and not long after, he has a materials list ready to submit to the workshop manager. After reviewing the paper, Linga's face falls. The price for minerals has increased to triple the normal price. They'll be way over the budget if they follow this list. But Linga has an idea. He'll obtain the ores himself within 5 days. During that time, Laurent will take care of managing the workshop. And when Linga sets his heart on a task, he does it immediately. 5 days fly by fast, with Laurent, Ling, and Xiao doing their part in ensuring the weapon order is met. The silversmith submits her design suitable for Spirit Arsenal's workshop capacity. And with that, she can finally rest. On the way to her room, Qiao crosses paths with Ling, who's looking a little worse for wear. You can't blame him when he's been mining away for 5 days straight. The elven girl soon realizes the workshop manager went through all that trouble because of her. But before Qiao can apologize, Linga acknowledges how hard she works. That's why he's motivated to do his best and help her. And just like that, the workshop manager and the silversmith have made up, finding sibling-like fondness for one another. Now, it's time for Eri to do her part of the job. The A-rank refiner takes the bag of ores to the furnace. The determined look on her face doesn't falter as she works on block after block. The day finally comes for everyone in Spirit Arsenal to show the fruit of their efforts proudly. Isua and Sills look on in awe. They can't believe they doubted the guild's capabilities. Of course, Laurent knows they wouldn't have succeeded without Xiao's effort. Isua smiles fondly at his daughter before confirming he has received 50 A-rank bows. Though he's a lower merchant, even he can tell without inspecting the weapons that these are indeed A-rank. After thanking Laurent and Xiao, Isua arranges to depart immediately. He can't wait to show everyone these new bows. Sat on the perch, Isua says a few more words before leaving. He thanks Laurent for discovering his daughter's talent and teaching her so well. Spirit Arsenal has his gratitude. With that, Isua departs, leaving his daughter in Laurent's care. Later that day, the skill appraiser accompanies Qiao around town. She's spotted a shop displaying so much silverware. One piece in particular catches the elven girl's eyes, a silver platter. Qiao can't help but wonder who made it. Laurent concurs that it's a very well-made piece, and the one who made it is Dorwin. He'll be Xiao's biggest rival in the silverware contest. Hearing this news shocks the elven girl. She asks to be alone for a moment before walking away from the shop front. As she does, Laurent wonders if he shouldn't have told her about Dorwin. But what good would that have done? She'll have to face her rivals and opponents sooner or later, and Laurent believes she should know of them as early as possible. Still, with how skilled Xiao is, the skill appraiser sometimes forgets she's still a kid. Has he been pushing her too much? Laurent heads over to where the elven girl went and finds her sitting at the end of an alley. Xiao's so lost in her thoughts that she doesn't seem to hear the skill appraiser approach or call her name. But when she does respond, a big smile graces her features. Eyes shining brightly, Xiao exclaims how fascinating the silver platter is. She had never seen such a beautiful design before. Relief washes over Laurent as he looks at the elven girl. It seems there's no need to worry about her. Xiao enjoys herself even when she'll certainly face a big challenge. That's how much she loves alchemy and crafting silver. She's such a wonderful kid. Dreaming about the future, Xiao is determined to produce great works like that one day. She can't wait for her works to be displayed in town. Hearing her hopeful voice makes Laurent's heart sink. He's sorry to say this, but he's certain no one in this town will buy silverware from Spirit Arsenal. Instead of disappointment, Xiao smiles in understanding. She doesn't even need to hear the reason for this. To make silverware is delightful enough for her. And in any case, Xiao sees Spirit Arsenal's situation as something temporary. She'll wait for things to turn around. It's bound to happen. Laurent doesn't share the elven girl's optimism and instead apologizes again. But Xiao insists he doesn't need to worry. After walking around town more to look at silverware, the skill appraiser and the silversmith take a break on a park bench. As they do, the elven girl can't help but notice she's the only one having fun. Is Laurent all right? The skill appraiser doesn't lift his gaze as he tells Qiao his story. Not long before, he worked in Golden Hawk, the best guild in this town. After being fired, Laurent established Spirit Arsenal. This new guild's goal is to defeat Golden Hawk. However, as the best and biggest guild, Golden Hawk has monopolized all businesses in town. That's why even if Qiao can make the best silverware, there's no guarantee anyone will buy it. On the other hand, if she leaves Spirit Arsenal, she'll immediately find a better job. That's how talented Xiao is. But the elven girl pouts upon hearing Laurent's explanation. Didn't she tell him she'll wait? Mind you, Xiao's good at waiting cause she's an elf. And doesn't Laurent understand that it'd be meaningless for her to work as a silversmith if it isn't in Spirit Arsenal? After all, Xiao is making silverware to return Laurent's favor. He helped persuade her father to allow her to become an alchemist. Laurent stayed up late preparing lessons to nurture Xiao's talents. After doing so much for her, why would he think she'd leave that easily? Everything Laurent has done has helped Qiao pursue what she loves to do. She's really grateful for that. So, as an alchemist in Spirit Arsenal, Xiao will do her best to make silverware suitable for Laurent's efforts. She'll craft silver pieces that can bring people happiness. Though Qiao is inexperienced, she promises to become the best alchemist in this town. Qiao asks Laurent to tell her more about various things, and he agrees. Then the girl offers to see the rest of the city. The hero stands up, and they're on their way walking all over the city. Then they return to the workshop. Eri greets them. She asks how the market research went. Qiao says it was a lot of fun and educational. Eri says she is very happy for her. Qiao says she's learned a lot, and now all that remains is to put all the knowledge together. After that, Qiao goes to rest. Eri tells Laurent that it looks like they did a good job. Then she asks him if something is wrong. Laurent says he needs to discuss something with them, and he asks her to call Langa. In his room, he gathers Langa and Ari and apologizes for interrupting their work. Langa asks what happened, and Laurent says that the future of the Arsenal of Spirits needs to be discussed. He says that at the moment they have no clients other than the guardians of the magic tree. Laurent says that in order to improve the situation, he decided to take part in a silverware competition organized by Count Elson. Lang says that the competition is good advertising, but he is worried about profit. Laurent says that's what we're going to talk about. He says that the Golden Hawk does not yet know that they can produce a scraft. Laurent says that suspicion fell on their own alchemist guilds, and as a result, they were ordered to stop all processing. Now they can only provide themselves with B-rank silver, and the Arsenal of Spirits has a rank silver. Manga says that if they win, there may be a big order. Laurent says that this will greatly simplify their task. The hero also says that they have a jeweler with S-rank talent on their side. Laurent says that he understands that it is not profitable and will have to work hard. The hero clenches his fists. He asks his comrades to help him defeat the Golden Hawk. Lang says he will start calculating the budget. Laurent understands that the guild members are on his side. Lang says he doesn't think they can afford it. He begins to think about the worst options, to which Ali tells him that whatever he comes up with, Chial won't like it. Laurent thanks his comrades for their support. Lang says they haven't even done anything yet. He tells Laurent to tell them that when they defeat the Golden Hawk, Lang suggests to transgress already. Laurent says it's worth talking to their ace first. He walks into Xiao's room. She asks what Laurent wanted to talk to her about. He replies that he wanted to talk to her about the same thing. The girl happily asks if he wanted to talk about the fair. The hero tells Xiao that she will have to compete with the Golden Hawk in this competition. The girl asks Laurent not to worry, saying that she will cope. She says she understands that the enemy is strong, but she is confident that by working with all the members of the Arsenal of Spirits, she will be able to defeat even the most powerful guild. So she asks Laurent to trust her. Chial says it's her turn to support them now. The girl says that even with a reduced budget and recycling, she will definitely win. Chial offers Laurent a whitewash. Langa says that first you need to decide what they will produce. Ali says that we need to decide as soon as possible because there is no time to think. Chial says she has a good idea then. She says she wants to make a product related to the name of the workshop. Lucius calls Jill to him. He thanks her for successfully capturing the dungeon. He also says that he has heard a lot about her exploits. The head of the guild praises the girl, making her blush. He says how easy she is to handle everything. The man says that she can be relied on unlike others. Then he asks her not to take it into her head. Lucius suggests we talk about business. He hands the girl a piece of paper with a description of the task, saying that this is exactly the job they deserve. Jill is slightly shocked by what she has read. Lucius asks her if she has heard about the fair. He says that Jill is honored to be there to present their jewelry to the bride. Jill asks if this is not the duty of a jeweler. Lucius replies that it won't do. He says that the fair will attract a lot of people, both locals and visitors. These are ideal conditions for advertising their guild. He asks if they really have to let an alchemist who stinks of smoke and is dirty from soot go on a pedestal. The girl objects, saying that it is his merit. Lucius says that no matter what efforts he has made, only the result is important. Jill objects, saying that the head of the guild is trying to get results by despising the one who makes the effort. Lucius doesn't understand what she's talking about. For him, effort is an excuse for those who cannot achieve success. He says that only those who can achieve a specific result deserve to be rewarded. Jill asks if she can get her reward then. Lucius answers in the affirmative, asking what she wants. The girl demands to return the appraiser Laurent to the guild. Lucius looks at her with contempt. He asks her why she is so obsessed with Laurent. Jill replies that she cannot reach her true potential without him. Lucius asks what she's even talking about. He asks Jill if she didn't achieve everything because of her talent. The girl answers in the negative and is about to say something else. Lucius interrupts her. He says that even if he wanted to, he would not be able to bring Laurent back because it would have a bad effect on his authority. Jill objects, saying that he has many achievements. Lucius replies that Laurent was expelled because he had no achievements. He says that this topic is closed. Lucius asks Jill to think about some other reward. The girl slams the door loudly, saying that she has business. Lucius realizes that Jill still cannot be trusted, and that the composition of the elite squad will need to be reviewed. He says that Laurent still continues to cause problems. The action is transferred to the workshop of the Arsenal of Spirits. Xiao is working on a new piece of silverware. Langa manages the extraction of ore and Ali processes it. Xiao is trying harder and harder. She again directs all her efforts to create a product. Laurent attentively watches the work of his comrades. Then he looks at the finished product. He asks Xiao if it worked out. The girl replies that it's a failure again. She says the product was supposed to work as an artifact, but it didn't work out. Xiao says it cracked when she tried to put magic in. She apologizes for the damaged materials. Laurent says the silver is running out and so are the deadlines. He also says that at this rate, you will have to go to the silverware fair with an ordinary product. Chial asks to give her another chance. She says the situation is critical, but a simple piece of silver will not help against the work of that master. The girl says that of course they have almost no time or materials left, but if they succeed, she is sure that they will be able to surpass him. Chial says that the Arsenal of Spirits will definitely win. Laurent says he will try to raise money for another attempt. Langa asks to provide it to him. Ollie offers to work together until the end. The hero says they have to give it their all in the last attempt. Laurent thinks that everyone is working hard. Everyone is trying to give their best. Chial asks that the spirits give her their blessing for the sake of these beautiful people. The girl opens her eyes. In front of her, she sees a finished, perfect silver product. Ollie admires his beauty. She finally understands what the girl wanted to do. Chial says it was exactly what she wanted, a silver piece from the Arsenal of Spirits. The action is postponed to the day of the silverware fair. The heroes approach the beautiful fair gates. Chial is surprised, and the hero looks at them with determination. Chial says it's amazing and looks like a festival. Laurent looks at the girl with concern. Chial asks if her work will be evaluated here. She clutches a box with a product in her hands. Laurent turns to her. He says there are a lot of people here in a huge playground. You can already see jewelers with their products. Laurent says the event is solid and no wonder Chial is worried. The girl looks at all this with excitement. Laurent says you shouldn't worry so much. He says she will not yield to these silversmiths. Laurent gives Chial the floor on this matter. The girl turns to him. He asks her to remember how she worked all this time. He asks her to remember Ollie and Lang, all their employees. All of them, like Chial herself, gave their best. Laurent says that's the only reason this job turned out. He asks her not to be nervous and everything will be fine. Laurent says they did everything they could with the whole guild. Now he asks her to proudly demonstrate the creation of the Arsenal of Spirits. The girl squeezes the box even harder and determination appears in her eyes. Laurent tells Chial to go ahead, as this will be the debut of the future S-ranked jeweler. They're starting to go toe-to-toe. The boy, holding a flag in his hands, shouts that the jeweler's reception desk is here. He asks to keep the queue. Laurent and Chial approach the reception desk. The man behind her says that if they want to register as participants, then they need to hand over the work and name the master. Chial puts the product on the counter and says it's her job. The man looks at the provided product with surprise and admiration. Laurent says that this product was provided by the Guild Arsenal of Spirits. The master is Chial Cotton. The man says that the registration is completed. He also says that now they only have to wait. Behind the backs of the heroes, the townspeople are talking about a book. Suddenly, the silhouette of a girl appears. She says she's finally found someone. She calls out to Laurent and Chial as they walk. Laurent turns around and sees Jill crying in front of him, who immediately throws her arms around his neck. Laurent asks what she is doing here. The girl says that she missed him all this time. Jill says she's finally found him and squeezes the guy so hard that sweat stands out on his forehead. The girl says that since they haven't seen each other for a long time, she got worried. Laurent says he's heard that Jill is avoiding him. Suddenly, a rather simple truth dawns on him. The hero realizes that Lucius was bluffing and wanted to expel Laurent quietly. Chial runs up to Laurent, asking if he's okay. Jill stands in shock at what she has done. She immediately begins to apologize to the hero, and Chial dusts him off from the dirt, asking if he is really all right. Jill says that a disgusting student like her would never do such a thing. Laurent calms her down, saying that he is actually glad to see her. Jill asks if the hero doesn't dislike her. He answers in the negative. The girl asks why Laurent left the guild. She says that she has been worried about this for a long time. Jill asks if the other guild members have done something to him. She says that if this is not the case, then she wants him to return to the guild. Jill says that she needs Laurent and that she is going nowhere without him. She begs him very much to come back. Laurent looks at her sadly. Suddenly, Lucius appears behind them. He asks what they're doing here. Laurent is not very happy to see the head of the guild. He says they haven't seen him for a long time. Jill asks why Lucius is here. He says that he asked the question. Lucius asks Jill if she has forgotten about her role. He says that she will have to hand over their jewelry to the bride. Lucius asks her if talking to enemies is more important than the interests of the guild. He says that if she understood everything, then they need to go to prepare. Lucius begins to lead the girl away. Laurent calls out to Lucius. He turns around and asks, he said something. Laurent asks why the hell he was lying to him. The hero says he's talking about Jill right now. Laurent says that Lucius said that no one in the guild needed him. Laurent asks if the head of the guild really wanted to kick him out so badly. Jill turns to Lucius and asks what it means. Lucius tells Laurent to stop being so paranoid. Laurent grimaces and is about to say something, but Lucius interrupts him. He asks what he's offended about. The man says that the hero was kicked out because of incompetence. He asks if he has already forgotten about his statistics. Does he need to revoice these figures? Lucius tells Laurent to be ashamed, because he, being incompetent, blames others for everything. He says that if the hero wants to work as a nanny, then he should go somewhere else. Laurent says that's enough for him then. Lucius asks if he's really resigned. Laurent says there is no point in talking to Lucius, but this does not mean that he will sit idly by. Laurent says that he chose a way to fight Lucius. The man does not understand what the hero is talking about. Laurent replies that this is exactly what he wanted to say. He says that the arsenal of spirits will beat the Golden Hawk in this competition. Lucius approaches Laurent. Laurent tells him that it's useless to scare him. He won't back down anyway. The hero says that he has something to protect, and he has comrades who support him. He says there's nothing else they have in common with Lucius. Lucius tells Laurent that he said it himself. The head of the guild asks if Gilles has hurt him. He says, pointing at Laurent, that he is their enemy. Gilles thinks this is some kind of joke. Laurent asks the girl for forgiveness. He says he's sorry he couldn't talk to her properly. Laurent says he is no longer on his way with the Golden Hawk. Gilles says it's a lie. She asks him to say that this is not true. Lucius puts his arm around Gilles' shoulders and leads her away. Then he turns around, asking Laurent if he wants to say anything else. The hero says that he promises to win this competition. He says that when this happens, Lucius will have to think about what he has done. Lucius says how such a small guild can have so much arrogance. Laurent tells Lucius not to always think that way, as they will soon reach the top. Lucius starts laughing at him. He says it's not harmful to dream. The man says that, at best, the hero will watch the celebration of the victory of the Golden Hawk from the very bottom of the stage. Laurent says that he hopes that Lucius knows how to hide envy in his eyes. If not, then he should practice. Lucius says it's starting to annoy him. He's taking Gilles with him. Laurent turns to Xiao, apologizing to her. He calls her to go. The hero thinks that they will definitely win at this exhibition. The speaker announces the start of the silverware fair with the support of Count Elson. He says that the masters of the whole world will compete to have their work recognized as the best. The speaker asks the question of who will win, because the pride of many masters is at stake. He announces the start of the silverware competition. The speaker apologizes for the wait and announces that the finale of the silverware fair is approaching. He says that first of all, it is necessary to introduce judges, aristocrats, who are rarely seen. He asks you to remember their image well. The speaker asks the townspeople to clap until their palms swell. He is the first to introduce everyone's beloved Count Elson, since it was he who organized this wonderful fair. He then introduces Count Elson's daughter. The speaker offers to congratulate her on her upcoming wedding. He then introduces the Count's personal engineer, who will be responsible for the technical side. The speaker says that these three will be their jury at the fair. He asks them to applaud. Then he talks about the start of the competition. He calls the first participant, a representative of the Silver Flower, onto the stage. This is the jeweler of the V rank, Edwin. The speaker begins to present his work. The Count's personal engineer interrupts him, saying that this job is bad. He says this job has no value. The speaker asks him again. The engineer says it's a silverware competition. He asks not to waste their time. Edwin is outraged that his work was rejected. He says that he is a B-rank jeweler and he has 30 years of experience. The Count's personal engineer approaches him, saying that he has 30 years of experience and that searching for materials is also part of his job. Then he points to the job. He says it's only got a silver coating on it. The Count and his daughter are in complete shock. Edwin tries to justify himself, but the engineer continues, saying that no matter how good his technique is, the product is only silver-plated copper, not silver. Edwin replies that he would do anything. He hands the engineer his product. Then he says he didn't have the materials. All the townspeople look at the stage in surprise. The speaker announces that the Count's personal engineer immediately understood everything. He raises the question of whether someone will be able to overcome this barrier. Lucius says it's not that simple. The previous work was good from a technical point of view. He says that, judging by the reaction, the townspeople thought about it exactly. He says that if this is a competition, then you need to complete all the tasks, regardless of the circumstances. The engineer says that Edwin was able to prove with his work that technology is developed at a high level in this city. He also says that although he is strict, the masters should not worry. The engineer tells the contestants that if they don't want to be criticized, then they need to make their work perfect, leaving the judges no choice. The speaker admires the words spoken by the Count's personal engineer. He invites the next participant. The speaker asks him to show the perfect job. The reaction to the next job is close to disappointment, and the next one too. And for the next one, the silver teapot also causes him disappointment. He eventually explodes in anger. The speaker is in shock. He says that more than half of the participants have already passed, but not a single applicant has appeared. The Count's personal engineer says there is nothing he can do about it. He cannot allow any of this to go to the dowry of the Earl's daughter. Then he turns to the speaker with the question of whether he really wants to compromise on a wedding gift for the Earl's daughter. The speaker acknowledges the correctness of the engineer. Then he apologizes to the citizens for the hitch and invites the next participant to the stage, saying that he should not let them down. He offers to finally invite him on stage. He says that the moment they've all been waiting for has finally arrived. The main contender spread his wings, the favorite of this tournament. Two men enter the stage. They are from the Golden Hawk, the head of the Lucius Guild, and the jeweler Dorwin. The speaker begins to introduce the product they brought, but Lucius interrupts him, saying that there have already been enough presentations. Lucius asks Dorwin to show his product. Dorwin is outraged by the impatience of the guild head. Then he pulls off a piece of cloth from his product. The Count, his daughter, and the Count's personal engineer look at him with admiration. Dorwin apologizes, saying that he just wanted to show the product. Lucius says it's their product. He asks the opinion of the judges. He hoped that the Golden Hawk would not let him down. The Count's personal engineer says he has heard of Dorwin. Then he is surprised. The engineer says that he has no complaints and that at the moment this is the best job. The Count's personal engineer grabs Dorwin by the hand, saying that the Golden Hawk has justified the title of favorite. The speaker exclaims, saying that finally someone has passed. He also says that they have overcome this impregnable wall. The speaker says that the first applicant was the Golden Hawk and its jeweler. Then he asks if anyone else can make it to the finals. Then he calls the next participant. Suddenly he finds out that the other participants refuse to perform. He begins to say that the Golden Hawk is likely to be the winner. Lucius is already thinking that victory is in their pocket. He thinks that by receiving the Count's patronage, their guild will be able to achieve great success. Suddenly, the speaker announces that there is another participant. He says that there are still brave men ready to challenge the Golden Hawk Championship. The speaker says they are going to challenge the King of Heaven. He asks promising artists to come on stage. The speaker represents Laurent Gill and the jeweler, Chial Cotton. He raises the question of whether a paper airplane can defeat a bird of prey. He represents the arsenal of the spirit. Lucius turns to Laurent, insulting him. Laurent responds by saying that he will not get rid of him just like that. The speaker says that this is a worthy way out, and they seem to be burning with enthusiasm. Laurent says that he has received the support of many people along the way. It is only thanks to them that he is on this podium, and that he has only one goal. Laurent says he came here to win, so there's no way he's going to lose. The speaker talks about the bold declaration of war on the Golden Hawk, and the fact that now the arsenal of spirits cannot retreat. Then he asks them to get right to the point and show their work. Chial pulls off the fabric and presents his product. She says it's a silver cup. The Count's personal engineer was amazed. He admired the beautiful design of the cup and its brilliance. He asked the heroes if they really used a rank silver. Lucius was amazed. The Count and his daughter also arrived in mild shock. Dorwin looked at the cup Chial had given him with surprise and concern. Laurent answered the question of the Count's engineer that their silver product is made entirely of a grade silver. The speaker says that even the most skilled craftsmen did not have this. He says that this item is made of the highest quality material. Lucius tries to object, saying that this is impossible. Dorwin cools his ardor by saying that this is exactly it. He also says that their work is on the same level. Lucius says that if this is the case, then Dorwin will definitely win. The man doubts this. The Count's personal engineer addresses the Count and his daughter. He says both works are worthy of their judging. He asks them to make a final choice. The girl says that she does not have sufficient competence. The Count asks her not to talk about herself like that, because this whole fair was arranged for her. The girl nevertheless agrees to look at the works and evaluate them. Chiel asks the Earl's daughter to distract her for a minute. The girl apologizes for the suddenness, and the Count's daughter gives her consent. Chiel says it's about her product. She asks the Count's daughter to put some mana in the cup. The girl asks again. Chiel explains that after that, the demonstration of her product will be completed. The Count asks his daughter to try. After investing mana, the cup begins to glow. The Count and his daughter open their eyes and see grape wine in the cup. The Count notes that it is also of good quality. The Count asks what is going on, but the engineer cannot explain it. Then the Count turns to Chial for an explanation. The girl says that the secret is in the power of the spirit. The engineer understands that this is due to the magic of the elves. He asks Chial how she came up with the idea. The girl replies that she had a hard time before becoming a blacksmith jeweler, but her friends helped her cope with the problems. Then she realized something. She says that by complementing each other, you can do things that seem impossible alone. For her, connecting with other people is a storehouse of possibilities. She says the same applies to marital ties. Chial says that this cup, like a fountain that never runs out, will give the newlyweds endless potential. That's what she was thinking about when she came up with this product. The Earl's daughter understands what Chial is talking about. The Count asks if his daughter has made a decision. The winner of the first silverware fair is being announced. It becomes the Arsenal of Spirits. The speaker asks the townspeople to meet the winner of the first silverware fair, namely Chial Cotton from the Arsenal of Spirits. The Count's daughter is pleased with the heroes. She says their work is truly wonderful. He says their guild has done a really good job. Then she leaves, saying that she will look forward to the award ceremony. The Count leaves after his daughter, telling her that there was nothing difficult. Lucius looks after the departing winners of the fair. He clenches his teeth in rage. He doesn't understand how this could happen. Dorwin calms down the head of the Golden Hawk Guild. Lucius doesn't understand how to calm down here. He is infuriated by the happy faces of Laurent and Chial. Dorwin says who knew that the jeweler of the Arsenal of Spirits would pull such a trick. Lucius is furious. He realizes how much effort has been wasted. Dorwin tells him not to make a fuss. Lucius orders Dorwin not to touch him. He tries to calm him down again, but Lucius says he's already heard everything. The man says that this will not happen again and that he will take action. Then he leaves, calling Dorwin after him. The latter, scratching the back of his head, follows him. Suddenly, Laurent calls Dorwin. The man turns around, not understanding why he was called. He says there will be an award ceremony soon and that Laurent better hurry up. Laurent wants to say something, but Dorwin interrupts him, saying that he has not changed at all. The man says that if Laurent continues to worry about him, he does not finish the sentence. He then asks his former teacher if it's worth taking such excessive care of his former students. He says that now Laurent should look after the new student. Chial Worley looks at the man from behind Laurent. Dorwin tells her that he is very pleased to meet her. She is still afraid to come out because of her teacher. Dorwin tells the girl that she did a good job and took good care of the client. He says he rates her as a craftsman. Dorwin wishes her to continue in the same spirit. Then he turns around and is about to leave. Suddenly, Chial calls out to him, saying that next time she will make a great product that will be no worse than this one. Then they turn around and leave too. The speaker finds them and asks them to go on stage. The guys go to the stage. A man announces the start of the award ceremony. The speaker says that this time the dark horse, who has been in this business for less than a year, won. The speaker suggests calling them on stage. The Arsenal of Spirits is announced and Laurent and Chial take the stage. The speaker asks them to hand over their work to the Count's daughter. Chial picks up the cup and walks over to the Earl's daughter. She asks her to take care of this child. The Count's daughter happily agrees. The townspeople applaud the choice of the Count's daughter. The speaker is about to complete the award ceremony, but is interrupted by the Count. He says he would like to say a few words. He addresses the townspeople, saying that of course everyone was fascinated by Chial's work. He says that she has made an amazing piece and that she is definitely a young talent. The Count says that no one had a clue about her until that moment. He doesn't know what would have happened if she had gone unnoticed. The Count says that such a thing cannot be allowed. Therefore, he decided to help grow this talent. The Count says that now he is ready to take the first step towards this. He turns to the Guild Arsenal of Spirits. The Count says he is ready to give them the seal of his family. The Count says that by doing so, he allows his guild name to be used in his future activities. The townspeople look at the scene in shock, and somewhere in the distance, fireworks begin. Chial turns to Laurent, trying to say something, but he interrupts her, saying that she did a great job. The girl thanks the hero. She thinks to herself that she never expected to see something like this. Chial thought for a long time that she would never be able to work with silverware. She understands that it was thanks to Laurent that she was able to fulfill her dream, and I was also able to see it all. The girl is very grateful to Laurent. The action is transferred to the Golden Hawk Guild building. Lucius slams his fists on the table, not understanding how Laurent could get around him. The man reflects that all the processing shops were closed, but at the same time, Laurent was able to get high-quality silver. Lucius doesn't understand how he did it. Suddenly, a man runs into his cabin. Lucius asks what Tom needs. He says he has a report. The man says that they have found out who is responsible for the supply of silver to the arsenal of spirits. Then Lucius explodes. He asks what he said. The man says that it seems that the Laurent Guild is working very closely with the guardians of the magic tree. Lucius breaks into a scream, insulting a former friend. The man angrily throws a lamp at the speaker, outraged that Laurent climbs where he is not asked. He's getting madder and madder. He then calms down, telling the guild members to get ready. The speaker asks why. Lucius's face is distorted by a grimace of hatred for the enemy. He shouts at him, saying that he needs to prepare to destroy the arsenal of spirits. Then he shouts at the speaker again, asking why he is still here. The action moves on to Dorwin and his subordinate. The craftsman walks slowly along the street of the city, asking himself what the rest of the guild members are doing. While he is walking down the street, saying how much he dislikes working with hysterics, a subordinate catches up with him. The subordinate calls out to Dorwin. He just begs him to tell him that the silverware fair is over. Dorwin's subordinate begins to talk about the fact that a lot of weapons and armor have accumulated. Dorwin asks him not to continue. Then they enter a warehouse full of iron, and that's not all. Then they go to the others. The subordinate, who caught up with Dorwin in the alley, tells them that the boss has returned and finished his work. The workers, in a semi-fainting state, rejoice at the return of the boss. Dorwin looks at the tired workers. Then he tells them to go and rest. He asks his subordinate if he is not going to rest. He replies that the equipment has been wearing out quickly lately. The man says that the guild members are mistreating the equipment again. Dorwin heard him. That's why he's going to figure it out. Dorwin begins to work, to beat off metal, to polish it. Then he shows the finished metal sheet to his employee. All employees are delighted with the work of their boss. One of the workers says with annoyance that it is a pity that the boss could not take the first place. His comrades immediately begin to educate him, believing that he hurt the commander's feelings. Dorwin says he doesn't care about it. Then he sighs heavily. Then he asks everyone to get back to work. But Dorwin realizes to himself that if Laurent had been in their guild, he would have definitely won. His subordinate wants to calm him down, but he asks him to finish as soon as possible. Suddenly, Jill bursts into his workshop, saying that she has finally found him. Dorwin is not happy to see the girl at all. He turns to her and asks what happened. She says she wanted to talk to him about something. She wants to start a conversation about the fair. At these words, Dorwin throws a weapon at her. The girl falls. After that, Jill shouts at him not to throw his weapon around. She gets up and goes back to Dorwin. She says she wanted to ask him something. Dorwin says he has a lot to do, so she'd better ask quickly. Jill says that she met Laurent during the competition, and she also says that Dorwin should have talked to him too. Dorwin asks that if he talked to him, so what? Jill asks if Laurent has said anything about himself. The man says that nothing at all. The girl was not satisfied with this answer, so she decides to move on to another question. She asks Dorwin if he knew that Laurent had been exiled. He answers in the affirmative. The girl asks him if he understands how stupid this is. Jill asks if it's wise to kick out a man of his level. Dorwin asks her what she suggests to do in this case. Jill says she needs a man's help. She wants to bring Laurent back to the Golden Hawk Guild. She says his place is right here with them. Dorwin doesn't understand how Jill is going to get Laurent back, but the girl is firm in her decision. She says that it is thanks to him that the Golden Hawk is on the rise. The girl says that this exile was a mistake, so Laurent must be returned. She asks Dorwin for help. Dorwin also asks if she has lost her mind. Jill insists on her own, saying that Laurent helped him too. Dorwin calls the girl a fool. Jill asks him if he really thinks Laurent is to blame. The man replies that he didn't say that. Then he realizes that Jill probably doesn't know. The man explains to the girl that Laurent has become a victim of Lucius's intrigues. Dorwin says Laurent joined the unit with the lowest score shortly before he was expelled. Jill doesn't understand because Laurent is an appraiser. Dorwin clenches his fists. Jill does not calm down and asks Dorwin to help her. She says that if they protest, they can bring Laurent back. Dorwin says it's useless against the head of the guild. The girl does not understand what he is talking about. Dorwin breaks into a scream. He says it's a waste of time. The man says Laurent was too good. He can't look a girl in the eye. Dorwin says Lucius couldn't turn a blind eye to Laurent's outstanding abilities. He says when the guild head found out about it, it was already too late. In addition, the top of the guild supported Lucius. Jill doesn't understand. In her opinion, Laurent has brought so much benefit to the guild. Dorwin says that's the whole reason. The man says that Laurent's students are moving up the career ladder too fast. Many of them, once at the very top, would wonder why Laurent does not occupy the top position. Jill says it wouldn't be a big deal if Laurent had more power. She says that Laurent can be trusted. Dorwin says it's not that simple. He says that the top is afraid of change. Men say they don't want to change anything. He says the top is afraid of what they don't understand and envies those who achieve real results. Jill understands that the top of the guild is far from ideal, and she is completely satisfied with the current situation, and they are ready to do anything to maintain their position. Jill concludes that Dorwin believes that Laurent is to blame after all. The man reports that he did not say this, but he agrees, saying that he may have overdone it a little, following the dream. Dorwin then says that nevertheless, the gap between Laurent and Lucius is already too wide. Jill tells him not to sit idly by. Dorwin thinks to himself about how Laurent had the patience to teach Jill. As a result, he says that he will not organize protests. The girl asks him how it is possible to be so selfish. Dorwin says it's all nonsense. Jill is outraged, saying that the man does not understand anything. She then says that she will not back down and will one day bring Laurent back to the guild. Dorwin tells her that if she is so impatient to do this, then she can pay a fine for breaking the contract and go after Laurent. Jill is outraged, saying that she doesn't have that kind of money. In that case, Dorwin tells her to keep quiet. Jill says she'll do it all by herself then. Dorwin says good riddance to her. The girl slams the door with force. Dorwin sighs heavily, not understanding what is happening to him. He takes a deep breath. He wonders why Jill doesn't have that kind of money, because she has to earn well. Then he wonders how he is better than her. The man does not understand why Laurent did not call him after him. He calls the former teacher and guild member a fool. Suddenly, a subordinate calls out to him. Dorwin apologizes to him for this show. Then he tells him to get back to work. Dorwin thinks to himself that Laurent needs to be more careful, since Lucius is now busy with him. He thinks that if Laurent is in danger, he will try to repay his kindness, and this time Laurent won't be able to get away with it. The action is transferred to the Isua store. He praises Xiao for her success and says that he is proud of her. He then asks Laurent if the sale will be the same this month. Lang replies that it looks like it. Isua strokes his daughter's head, proud of her. Lang asks Laurent if this is really the same Isua. Laurent suggests to forget it as a terrible dream. Then the hero says that nothing terrible happened. Langa asks if he is sure about this. Langa replies that everything ended well. Looking at Xiao and her father, he says that this is exactly the scene he wanted to see. Langa then calls out to Isua asking why he moved these shelves. Langa wishes the guy good luck. Langa goes to deal with Isua, telling Tom that thanks to this arrangement of shelves, everything will look much better. Suddenly, a girl approaches the heroes. She says that the building is very noisy. It turned out to be Sills. She apologizes for her husband to the hero. Then she says she is grateful to Laurent. She also says that thanks to him and his friends, they have a lot more fun. She says about her husband that he just does not know how to express emotions. Sills says that because of what happened, they were forced to wander in the dark. But the hero became a reliable beacon for them. She says she didn't think she would ever see something like this again. The girl did not even hope for this. Sills says that now they have become the same family thanks to the hero. She says that she sincerely thanks the hero from the bottom of her heart for the miracle he created. Sills tells Laurent that if he needs any help, he can turn to her. Xiao looks at his mother, confused. Then she tries to drive her away from the hero. She says not to embarrass her. Then Lang approaches the hero, who says that it was hard. Then he says that at this rate, it will all be over soon. Laurent asks him to come out with him for a few words before the next job. Lang wonders why they have moved so far away. Laurent explains that no one will hear them here. Lang asks if this has anything to do with the Golden Hawk. Lang says he can't hide anything from Lang. The young man asks him to tell him what the matter is. Lang says that Zentz broke off their partnership the other day. Lang asks if this is really revenge for the fair. Lang says they are on different levels. Lang says that Zentz told him that he had to protect the members of his guild. The Golden Hawk surrounded them from all sides. Laurent says that Lucius cuts off all access to materials, procurement, and workers. He wants to interfere with the arsenal of spirits in every possible way. Laurent says that the purchase of materials has been particularly affected. He says that even though they won the competition, they can't do anything without the materials. Laurent says that the Golden Hawk is serious about destroying them. Langa asks what about the magic tree. Laurent says he and Liliana haven't talked about it yet. He says that her guild is currently sorting out a previous unsuccessful dungeon conquest, but they keep in touch. Langa realizes that they are being blocked from all sides. Laurent says that he sees only one way out to go to the dungeons. Langa objects, saying that Laurent is not a combat adventurer. The same one says that he is well versed in skills. He says he will find people, form a squad, and then start training the dungeon. Then he will conquer the right to extract resources. Laurent says there are no other ideas. Lang asks Laurent to promise him one thing. He asks Laurent not to show any heroism and return unharmed. Laurent promises to try his best. He lowers his head, saying that he has given Lang a new troubles. The guy asks you not to worry about this. He assures Laurent that he can handle it. Langa tells Laurent to get used to relying on him. He says that the hero is no longer alone. Langa tells Laurent to keep following his path and they will support him. Laurent says he's glad he met Lang. The guy responds in kind. Suddenly, Chial runs up to them. She was looking for them everywhere. The girl says that the ambassador from the magic tree has arrived. The girl says that Liliana wants to talk to Laurent. Laurent says that it looks like Liliana is waiting for him in that cafe, and immediately rushes to meet her. The hero finds a girl and addresses her by name. The girl says she's sorry. She says that part of the top of the magic tree succumbed to the pressure of the golden hawk. She says Lucius has taken them on now. The girl says she can't keep quiet anymore. She turns to Laurent. The girl says that she has no choice but to rely on the guy. She says they can't beat Lucius at this rate. Laurent does not understand what Liliana is talking about. Then the girl says that there is another way out. The hero asks what is the way out. Laurent says that he will do anything for Liliana. Liliana asks the hero if he will be able to leave the arsenal of spirits in such a case. The hero asks what Liliana means. He asks if she really wants him to give up the arsenal of spirits and join the guardians of the magic tree. Liliana answers in the negative, but then she makes a reservation. She says that the guardians of the magic tree are far behind the golden hawk in terms of personnel. She says they can't afford the luxury of working apart anymore. Liliana says she is offering Laurent closer cooperation. She says that she would like the hero to use his full potential. Liliana says that they could use the power that made the Golden Hawk a leading guild for the benefit of the Guardians of the Magic Tree. The girl explains that she would like the hero to join the Guardians of the Magic Tree as a special advisor. The hero asks again. Liliana explains that now the Guardians of the Magic Tree have only one elite squad, unlike the Golden Hawk, which has as many as 3 elite squads for storming dungeons. She says that with the help of Laurent's power, they could try to close this gap. She wants him to create a unit that can conquer the dungeon. Laurent asks again. The girl asks if it won't be difficult for Laurent. He looks at her thoughtfully. Laurent says that he was thinking about the situation and was also thinking about going down to the dungeon. Liliana objects, saying that he is not a combat adventurer. She doesn't understand what he would be doing there. Laurent replies that he would take up training. The girl says that you should not underestimate the dungeons. Laurent turns to the girl. He says this is the fastest way to solve the problem. Liliana interrupts him. She says that the training in the dungeon he participated in was only safe because of the Golden Hawk. The girl says that if the hero goes there alone, he will not survive. She asks him not to even think about it. She says that if he disappears there, she won't be able to bear it. Laurent apologizes to her. The girl turns back to him. Liliana says that even if he was thinking about training in the dungeon, why not accept her offer? Laurent looks down at the floor. The girl tells him that everything will be fine. Laurent says he doesn't think her guild will approve of it. The girl replies that she will take care of everything. Laurent asks Liliana if she is sure about this. Laurent says he has already failed as a teacher. The girl says she doesn't think so. She says that even if something like this happened in the past, it's not because of Laurent's abilities. The girl asks Laurent to help them. The hero doubts, but eventually agrees. He says he agrees and that he will try to meet the girl's expectations. Liliana says thank you to him. Then he asks if he can come to the guild today. Laurent is thinking about becoming a mentor to combat adventurers again. He expects to forget about the failures of the past due to this. He thinks that he is a little worried, but for the sake of those who are waiting for him, he will do everything in his power. Laurent approaches the gates of the guild guardians of the magic tree. They swing open in front of him. He goes inside. A mighty ancient tree stands in front of him. Someone comes up to him from behind and asks him how he likes the magic tree. It turned out to be Liliana. She says that the tree is not a thing that can be thrown away just like that. Laurent says he wouldn't say he needs to be thrown out. He says the tree fits perfectly. Liliana is glad that Laurent liked the tree. Laurent says that for some reason it seems to him that in such an environment, he will definitely find talents. The girl says that then it's time for them to go and look for them. She says she needs to meet with the head of the guild first. Laurent asks if everything is okay. The girl replies that everything is fine and the hero has nothing to worry about. Then they approach the guild head's office. Liliana asks Laurent if he is ready. He answers in the affirmative. They go inside. The head of the guild is standing at his desk. Liliana calls out to him. She says she brought Mr. Laurent. The man turns around and says he was waiting for them. He then thanks Laurent for helping out the guild with supplies of a craft. He also says Laurent is younger than he thought. The head of the Guild of Guardians of the Magic Tree says that Liliana told him a lot of interesting things about Laurent. Liliana interrupts the head, saying that he is a busy man and it's time to write out a power of attorney for the special advisor. The head of the guild asks her not to be so angry. Then he issues a power of attorney, asking if everything is fine. He asks if the hero understands what responsibility he has been entrusted with. Liliana intervenes in the conversation. She asks the head if they haven't already discussed everything on this issue. The head immediately changes his face, saying that, of course, everything was discussed and issues a power of attorney to Laurent. Then he says he's counting on Laurent. Laurent says that he can rely on him. Liliana and Laurent bow to the head. The girl says that everything went smoothly. The hero compliments her, saying that it is only thanks to her. Liliana says she didn't do anything so special. She says it's all thanks to Laurent's efforts. The hero argues with her, saying that it's not like that at all. Then he thanks her. Then the guy tells Liliana about her circles under her eyes. The girl is embarrassed. She asks why the hero didn't tell her before. The hero assumes that the girl tried to hide them with magic. Liliana says that revealing girls' secrets is not very nice. He says that besides, she didn't overexert herself so much. She says the situation will change for the better soon. She says she believes in a hero. She offers to move out. It's time for them to look for talents. She brings the hero to the training ground of the Guardians of the Magic Tree. The girl says that she hopes that the hero's eyes will be able to catch the light of the necessary hope. She asks everyone gathered there to pay attention to her. The girl introduces Laurent to them. Everyone in the room is looking at him intently. The hero thinks to himself that this is what he expected from a large guild. The level of adventurers here is above average. The hero carefully examines each candidate. Then he exclaims. Liliana asks what happened. The hero points to one of the candidates and says that she has the potential to become an rank archer. The girl's name is Monica. She says she can't become an archer. The hero wonders why she thinks so, because she has the right skill. Suddenly, someone appears behind them asking what they are doing. It turned out to be a man who works as a full-time appraiser for the Guardians of the Magic Tree. The hero understands who it is. The staff appraiser says that he heard that a special advisor had appeared here and came to take a look at his work. But in the end, I saw a stupid scene. Liliana asks what Willick is talking about. He explains that it is reckless for Monica to offer archery. Liliana says that she is aware that Willick spent 3 years training Monica, but she was never able to achieve results. She says that if he doubts Laurent, then let him just evaluate his skills. Willick asks Liliana if she really wants to say that Laurent is better than him. Liliana turns to Laurent to ask if he is against it. Laurent agrees. Willick says he's going to see if Laurent is as good as Liliana says he is. Willis evaluates Laurent. He is faced with a high level of his skills. Willick doesn't understand how Laurent got them so high. As a result, the man agrees that Laurent is good at his job, but he says that he must understand something. For an archer, a high dexterity characteristic is needed to occupy an advantageous position. He begins to talk about the need for innate talent. Therefore, Willick does not understand how Monica can become an archer. Laurent says that he thinks that the girl's main skill has not yet been revealed, but with his help, she can become a first-class archer. Willick says his assessment suggests otherwise. Then he turns to Monica and asks her what she thinks about it. The girl says that she was raised as a warrior for 3 years, but if there is a chance for her to become stronger, then she would like to seize this opportunity. Willis says that everything is clear to him, and since Monica is not a child, he will not dissuade her. The girl looks sadly at the former teacher. He says that she is his dear student, so he asks Laurent to take good care of her. He says he trusts Monica to him. Laurent agrees. Laurent continues to evaluate the others. Willis looks after his work. Laurent tells everyone in turn which skill he needs to develop. Willick says that in this case he will not interfere with them. He thinks to himself about what will come of it. Laurent thanks all the adventurers present for waiting for him. Monica asks why it's just the 3 of them. Laurent explains that in the future they may become the main fighting force of the Magic Tree. He says that he will, of course, teach others, but he will pay his main attention to their trinity. Laurent says that most likely they do not feel comfortable because of the sudden change of leadership, but he asks them not to worry. He goes on to say that with Sukuma Hakam, a combat magician, Euphine Arise, a warrior, and Monica Vermeer, a warrior, he will continue Mr. Willis's work and do everything in his power to make them first-class adventurers. Laurent says he will discover their hidden talents and make them shine, so that the moment they leave him, he can feel proud. Laurent says that being an S-rank appraiser, he asks to be allowed to dispel all their doubts. He asks you to trust him and follow him. Laurent says that if they believe in him, he will make them elite adventurers, guardians of the magic tree. Monica asks if they can really become part of the elite magic tree squad. Laurent answers in the affirmative, saying that he will show them how to do it. Monica says that in that case, she would like to confide in him. He comes closer. Then she asks Laurent to help her become a first-class archer. Then the rest of the girls pull up. Sukuna agrees with Monica. Yufine says she has always wanted something more. Sukuna and Euphema say that such a chance should not be missed. Then they all ask for help to become elite warriors of the Guardians of the Magic Tree. Laurent agrees. The action takes place in the Temple of the Change of Profession. Euphemia thinks that this is exactly what she has been looking for so long. She thinks that together with this man and the others, she will definitely become stronger. She thinks that she has renewed hope. She won't waste it. The girls approach the magic ball and put their palms on it. The action is transferred to the Golden Hawk. The top of the guild tells Lucius that they have already read the financial report for the last quarter. They ask the head of the guild what it means. The man apologizes. The top asks the question, what is his problem? They ask if he can explain it. Lucius says that the Guardians of the Magic Tree put up a decent resistance. He is reminded that he said that this guild is under control. He is required to answer the question. Lucius objects, saying that they have successfully captured other dungeons. The surprise effect just worked there. Then they tell him that they are interested in something else. They ask if the head of the guild is going to take responsibility for what happened. Lucius says he understands everything. He starts to say what he will do in the future, but is interrupted. He is asked if he understands everything exactly. Lucius has a stagnation in the training of Jill and Dorwin, an unsuccessful capture of the dungeon and defeat at the silverware exhibition. Lucius is told that he has too many problems lately. He is told that they are not being paid to just keep afloat. Lucius says he understands everything. He asks for some time. I ask him that there doesn't seem to be a specific plan. The top of the guild says they are not doing charity work. They say they are going to stop funding. Lucius promises to fix everything. They tell him that even though he says so, great hopes were pinned on the jeweler's exhibition. Moreover, they lost to the Arsenal of Spirits, a newly created guild. They say they've heard that they have a very good appraiser and want to poach him. Lucius clenches his teeth. Then he says that he was already a member of their guild, but was fired due to poor performance. They tell him that maybe that appraiser was unlucky then. They offer to return it or absorb the guild. Lucius says it's impossible. He says he can't do that. They ask him the reason for this answer, saying that they are a young guild and they need to be bought before the price is raised. Lucius says that Laurent used the Golden Hawk for his own mercantile purposes, which was the main reason for his exile. He begins to say that Laurent has arranged overestimation of estimates, abuse of staff, use of his students to seize power. Lucius says that if you return it now, it will cause discontent among the elite and, as a result, cause internal collapse. The top is sitting thoughtfully at the table. Lucius says that Laurent, by his mere presence, endangers the existence of the entire guild and affects it too badly. He also says that the benefits of Laurent's abilities cannot be compared to such damage. The top is going to agree with him, but says they need results. Lucius asks them not to worry. He says the next Golden Hawk report will definitely satisfy them. The top agrees with him and says that this time they will leave him alone. They say they will see him later and break up before the next meeting. An angry Lucius stands in the middle of the room. Diana comes up to him from behind, saying that he did a great job. Lucius says they don't understand anything. He doesn't understand how he can get even more results. He is even more infuriated that this is being said by insects parasitizing the Golden Hawk. Lucius says they're laughing, then it explodes. He calls them greedy, says that his ears wither from their thirst for profit. Lucius starts banging his head against the wall. He doesn't understand what they're saying. He doesn't understand why they remembered this appraiser at such a moment. When they demand to return it, he shouts that he will not do it for anything. The girl tries to calm him down, but all he gets in response is a scream. Lucius orders her to go to the quest room, saying it's time to nail the Arsenal of Spirits. The girl does not understand what he is talking about. Lucius intends to destroy Laurent's guild. He says they can't be allowed to do tasks. The action is transferred to the quest waiting room. Laurent walks into the quest reception and greets the girl at the counter. She asks if there is anything she can do to help him. She calls him by his first name. Laurent says that he would like to take a quest for combat adventurers. The girl confusedly notices that Laurent is not a combat adventurer. To this, Laurent replies that it would be better to discuss the details in a private setting. The girl takes him to a room where no one will hear them. She asks what he meant by that, since such tasks are not for an appraiser. Laurent says that he did not ask about these tasks for himself. The girl asks if the hero has decided to return to training new adventurers. Laurent answers in the affirmative, saying that he has finally decided to do it. The girl starts talking about the arsenal of spirits, but Laurent interrupts her. He says that he does not train adventurers in the arsenal of spirits. Laurent says that he has become a special advisor to the Guardians of the Magic Tree Guild. The girl is very happy for him and says how great it is. Laurent says that, in general, he needs quests for adventurers like Archer, Support Magician, and Healer. The girl gladly agrees to find suitable tasks for the hero. She says she'll get to work right away. The hero leaves the meeting room, and the girl tells him that she will contact him soon. Laurent thanks her for this, and she escorts him down the corridor. Suddenly, a mysterious figure in a raincoat appears in the same corridor. She takes off her hood and addresses a girl who has only recently communicated with Laurent. She says she has something to do with that one. The girl asks her to come to the reception desk, but the figure says it's not necessary, as it won't take long. The girl looks at the guest in shock. She says that she wants to learn something from the girl and hopes that she will not refuse her. Diana asks the girl if she's been talking to Laurent right now. She says she wants to discuss it. She asks to talk to the girl in a private room, which she provides to a small guild. Diana says it would be strange if the girl didn't offer her to the Golden Hawk. Diana says she's wondering what she and Laurent were talking about. The girl says she can't tell. Diana presses Claire, saying that they are friends. Then he presses her against the wall. Diana says there can be no secrets between them. Claire is afraid of Diana. She starts stroking her cheek with her hand. Then he says that everything is fine. Diana asks Claire not to worry and tell her everything. Diana says that she is not threatening her and reminds her that she helped her. She asks Claire if people like them shouldn't stick together. Claire agrees with her and says she owes her a favor. Diana asks her to tell her what she and Laurent talked about. She asks the girl not to be afraid of the Guardians of the Magic Tree, because the Golden Hawk will protect her. Diana asks Claire again what she and Laurent talked about. Then she presses on the girl's sore spot, saying, "Really?" She decided to betray her. Diana asks her again. Claire looks at her with frightened eyes. He mentally apologizes to Laurent and says that he cannot go against these people. The girl says that Laurent became an instructor at the Magic Tree. The action is transferred to the Golden Hawk. Lucius praises Diana for the information. Lucius says that despite what happened, Laurent decided to start training again. Dina asks what their next steps are. Lucius says that if Laurent intends to do this, then they must react accordingly. He hands the girl a piece of paper and says that he has a job for these guys. Diana carefully examines the list of adventurers. Lucius asks them to be called immediately. Diana leads them to the guild head's office. They ask her what's going on. She tells them to just follow her. She says Lucius will explain everything to them. They enter the head's office. Lucius calls them by their specialization. He says they all have a B rank. He thanks them for coming so quickly. He says he's going to get right to the point now. Lucius says that he has a very important mission that only they can complete. That's why he called them the Adventurer's Object, saying that they are listed as storming the dungeon. Lucius says that others will take care of it. He asks them not to be nervous. Lucius explains that it will be an easy job for them. Adventurers are interested in what kind of work it is. Lucius says that one weak guild is hindering them, so he wants to crush the magic tree. The men begin to whisper. Lucius doesn't like it. He asks them if they are not confident in their abilities. They reply that on Lucius's orders they will crush this guild. Lucius praises their response. He says that with a different answer, he would have expelled them from the Golden Hawk. He says that this battle will look like a battle between a first-class guild and a bunch of different rabble. Lucius says that they are all excellent fighters and part of the elite of their guild. He says their enemies are in the same roles as them. Lucius wants the Golden Hawk elite to demonstrate the difference to the magic tree between them. He asks if they can do it. They answer in the affirmative. Now Lucius is going to tell them the details. The guy runs into the boss's room. He turns to Alec. He asks him what happened. The guy says their squad has been reformed. Lucius took the people away from them. He says that at this rate they will have to conquer the dungeons without a rear guard. The head of the squad is outraged by this. He's going to figure it out. He bursts into Lucius's office. He tells the head of the guild that he can't just take his people away. Alec is outraged by the loss of the members of the B-rank squad, because now there is a hole in the rear guard. He says that the magic tree has captured one of the dungeons. So now is not the time to weaken his squad. He demands an explanation. Lucius doesn't understand what he's talking about. He asks if it was necessary. Alec explodes, saying that Lucius probably wants him to take over the dungeon with a C-rank rearguard. Lucius doesn't understand what's wrong with that. Alec calls him crazy. He calls this idea crazy. Lucius interrupts him. He asks what he is allowing himself. Alec looks at the head in shock. Lucius says it's his guild. He did not give Alec the right to interfere in personnel matters. He tries to argue with him. Lucius interrupts him. He says that the people Alec is talking about are already on another mission. He asks what he should do then. Lucius replies that he will do his job. But if he can't handle this problem, then Lucius will have to demote him. Alec says that then he will come up with something. Lucius is counting on him. But Alec decides to ask him a question. The task that he received is more important than capturing the dungeon. Lucius nods. Alec calms down. He says he will replace them with the best of the C rank. He's leaving. Lucius doesn't understand why so many people try to go against their decisions. He wonders if it's important, understands what's important. Lucius can't let Laurent do what he's up to. He says it was the last time and that Laurent has no future. Lucius will take care to strangle the hero. He tells Tom to enjoy the last moments of his life. The action is transferred to the Magic Tree Guild. The guild leaders summon Liliana to their place. The girl suspects that something has happened. The head says that this is indeed the case. This is about Laurent. The head is thinking about giving up the idea of a special advisor position. The girl doesn't understand what he's talking about. The head is also concerned about the relationship with the Golden Hawk. He says that they have serious claims against Laurent, and he is afraid that they will make enemies this way. The head feels like they're obsessed with him. He says he can't stop thinking about it. The head says that in their position, it is not very wise to come into conflict with the Golden Hawk. The girl begins to worry about Laurent's dismissal. She says she will leave with him. The head does not understand why he needs all this. Liliana says that she is grateful to the guild for everything, but if she is afraid of the Golden Hawk, then she does not understand this. Glav asks if she is serious about this. Liliana answers in the affirmative, saying that she will leave and start all over again. They look at each other in silence. Glav understands that the girl is determined. He can't lose his primary commander. Therefore, he decides to support Liliana, but he warns her, saying that the Golden Hawk is serious. The head decides to leave everything as it is for now, but he will continue to monitor the situation closely. Somewhere in a dungeon, a party battles against goblins. A warrior shouts, "One's through! Help me, archer!" Monica, gripping her bow, prepares to shoot. She knows she must hit the target, but when she releases the arrow, it misses. The goblin notices and charges toward her. Just as it's about to strike, Monica suddenly wakes up, her heart racing in fear. It was a nightmare, one of many she's been having lately. She wonders what's wrong with her. Could it be the new profession, the new mentor, the new surroundings, or the overwhelming changes in her life? Despite the nightmares, she dreams of seeing the front lines. She recalls a fragment of her dream. She had reached the front of the line. Now she realizes how much she longs for it, even with the haunting visions. The view she yearns to see. She wants to be there. Resolving to push through, she strengthens her determination to reach that goal. That desire burns fiercely in her heart. The scene shifts to the training grounds of the Guardians of the Magic Tree, where it has been a month since Laurent's arrival. In that time, Monica has adjusted to her new profession, dedicating herself to combat training. Whenever confusion clouded her mind, Laurent was always there to guide her. The tasks she once struggled with have begun to feel possible, but she still wonders, will it all work out in the end? Laurent is certainly a skilled mentor, precise in his instructions and quick to suggest improvements. However, past failures had led him to abandon his profession, flaws he's since overcome. For now, the focus has been on perfecting the basics. Occasionally, Laurent and Willick argue about whether they're truly on the right path. Monica wonders if they're moving forward as planned. After all, they haven't reached the front lines yet. She doesn't know what's holding them back, but she's sure of one thing. She desperately wants to see that landscape as soon as possible. Meanwhile, Laurent is walking through the city, searching for something. He stops in front of a weapon shop and says, "Finally, I've found it." He enters the shop, asks the shopkeeper for the weapon, and buys it. Now, with the weapon in hand, he hurries back to the girls, ready to lead them to the front lines. Upon his arrival, he declares, "Girls, you're going to the dungeon." His words catch them off guard. Monica exclaims, "How sudden! You said today was just training." Laurent replies, "I found it, the last thing we needed." He hands them a box containing their new weapons. Monica hesitantly opens it to find a large bow inside. As she examines it, she asks, "Isn't this bow too big?" Doubt creeps in as she worries about her agility. She wonders if she'll even have time to position herself properly in battle. Laurent calmly says, Wait, let me explain. Monica, what is the role of an archer? Monica responds, to reduce enemy forces from long range, repel aerial attacks, and provide cover for melee fighters. Laurent nods. You're worried that you won't be able to keep up with your allies, leaving them without cover. But that's just one aspect. You need to change how you view your role. Focus on what you do best. With your strength and hidden potential, this powerful bow is perfect for you. Forget about support. Focus on attack. Your job isn't just to provide cover. It's to take down the enemy with precision. He continues, cover fire is crucial, yes, but you have the talent to go beyond that. With this iron bow, you'll be able to pierce through any foe effortlessly. Your strength and arcane skills make it possible. You'll transform from an archer into an artilleryman, a long-range marksman who can obliterate anyone in your path. Monica is stunned. It's the first time anyone has spoken to her like this. She had always been told she was suited for archery, but her low dexterity had closed off that path. Now, Laurent has opened a new door, offering her a glimpse of hope, a path that leads straight to the front lines she's longed for. The answer is clear. She will follow him. With newfound resolve, she shouts, "Please take us, we'll follow you." Laurent smiles and replies, "Of course, I'll lead you to the front lines." They head to the dungeon, where Laurent says, "First, just get used to your surroundings. There will be 2 guards in the dungeon. I'll check your progress afterward." Inside the dungeon, they encounter 3 goblins on the first level. Monica swiftly shoots one with ease. The remaining 2 goblins charge at her, but she manages to take down another with a well-aimed shot. Now, only 1 goblin remains, and Monica has just 1 arrow left. As she reaches for it, the goblin closes in on her. Just before it strikes, 2 B-rank warriors intervene, blocking the attack with their swords. One of them asks if she's all right, while the other attacks the goblin, sending it flying. The black-haired warrior, Ed, then checks if she's hurt, while the white-haired warrior, Joki, notices her anxiety. He advises her to calm down. Joki extends his hand to help her up, but before they can react, a goblin attacks from behind. Without even turning around, the warriors raise their swords and slice the goblin into pieces. They help Monica to her feet, and she's stunned by their speed and precision. They didn't even need to look at the enemy to defeat it. That's the level of skill she's aiming for. The warriors then say, "Keep moving. The other 2 can join the fight." This surprises the 2 girls with Monica. One of them is amazed by the warriors' strength and begins to doubt whether they can ever reach that level. But Monica encourages her, saying, "Of course, we're far from reaching their level, but I refuse to give up or look down on ourselves. There's only one way forward now. We have to chase after them, and we need to change." The girls nod in agreement and shout together, "Let's change, all 3 of us." Suddenly, one of the warriors interrupts. "Ladies, sorry to break up your conversation, but we've got a whole group coming our way. This time it's a lot more serious. Get ready." They quickly take their positions as the warrior urges them to keep up. And that is the end of the recap for now. Please comment Laurent if you want to know about the next part. Don't forget to click the like button and subscribe to my channel. Thank you for watching.